Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Global Apocalypse, Awakening the Soul-Swallowing Talent at the Beginning. Chapter 51. Careless. Lu Li frowned and stared straight ahead. After the magic cocoon exploded, there was still a black and red foreign object inside. At this moment, he was twisting and turning, as if he was looking for something. Parasitic demon. Relevant information popped into Lu Li's mind. Being polluted by demonic energy will not only give players the negative effect of demon erosion. When the corrosion reaches a certain level, the target contaminated by the demonic energy will turn into a demon cocoon and hatch into various monsters. The parasitic demon is one of them. But what puzzled Lu Li was that the Sakura woman had obviously been killed, so why could she still transform into a cocoon? She seemed to have said she used props before. Could it be corrupted essence? Thinking of this, Lu Li became more vigilant. If it is really a parasitic demon catalyzed by the corruption essence, it will be much more difficult to deal with than ordinary demons. It's not that the combat power is so strong. It's because this kind of monster has a powerful pollution aura. It's just a toad crawling on your feet. If it doesn't bite, it's a toad. Without the aid of the holy system, talent, a hasty fight will most likely lead to deep erosion, and irreversibly turn into a demon cocoon. And it's not just Lu Li himself. Even those soul soldiers will be affected. After the demon erosion reaches a certain level, they will break away from control and become independent existences similar to shadow monsters. Lu Li suffered a loss in this regard in his previous life and lost hundreds of high-level soul soldiers. It took him a whole new life to save this little fortune, but he didn't want to fill it all in. Soul Soldier Recycle. Although the second stage slaughter of bloody slaughter can purify the negative effects of devil chi corrosion. But Lu Li couldn't activate it before the 24-hour cooling time expired. The only way now is Lin Qinyu's sacred system, talent. Holy blessing. But that impolite eldest lady of the Lin family seemed to have become Zhao Jin's hostage. He's really helpful. Lu Li sighed lightly and activated Lightning Arrow. No matter what, let's deal with the parasitic demon first. The electric arcs were like dragons, scrambling to strike at the black and red meat. Treat the devil, especially the demon transformed by Sakura Man. Lu Li never holds back. The parasitic demon twisted desperately, and after being bombarded several times, it let out a woman's scream. Zhao Jin, save me. Seeing that Zhao Jin was indifferent, the parasitic demon shouted again. Zhao Jin. If I die, the Morioka clan and the Zhao family will no longer be friendly. Your hopes of joining a prefecture-level family will be completely shattered. After hearing these two words, Zhao Jin, who was planning to retreat, stopped. He cursed lowly and turned around. By now, he had already discovered how powerful Lu Li was. Not to mention occupying the first place in the level list. Just the fact that the summoned objects can fill up the community instantly is enough to explain the problem. You know, the Komatsu Hound, known as the leader of Morioka Domain's summoning system, can only summon 3 corrupt hounds at most. And before that, a lengthy summoning ceremony needs to be performed. But Lu Li didn't have to. It seems that with just a thought, those terrifying summons will emerge from the shadows and ruthlessly harvest lives. If Lu Li hadn't taken back the summoned object at this moment, Zhao Jin wouldn't have turned around to save Xiao Song Ji Quan even if he killed him. Lu Li, look who this is. Zhao Jin shouted loudly, and at the same time reached out and pulled Xu Xiao out. Although Xu Xiao had not been insulted yet, the gunshot wounds and the demon energy erosion had left her in a very bad condition. She was completely naked, with only a few rags covering her body, like a rag doll that had been played with. Lu Li stopped moving and his eyes were cold. When Zhao Jin saw the effect, he immediately became proud. I didn't expect it, Lu Li. I have your little lover in my hands. When you threatened me with Luo Hong, you should have thought that today would happen. Hand over the little pine puppy, or I will crush her to death on the spot. I expected Lu Li's face to be full of panic. Or, at least, he showed some hesitation. But Zhao Jin saw nothing. Some are just cold, and a little bit of disdain. Just do it. After Lu Li finished his sentence, he continued to bombard the parasitic demon with lightning arrows. Zhao Jin was dumbfounded. It's not right. This guy Lu Li doesn't play by the rules. You don't believe I will kill her? Zhao Jin's eyes widened and he glanced at the hostage in his hand with some uncertainty. That's right, it's Xu Xiao. But why doesn't Lu Li care at all? Aren't they classmates, not a friend? Moreover, Wang Suyan said that Xu Xiao's perfect quality equipment was given by Lu Li. Shouldn't the relationship between the two be very close? The screams of the little pine puppy kept ringing, stimulating Zhao Jin's nerves. Wrong. If Lu Li didn't care about Xu Xiao, how could he give him perfect quality equipment at will? He must be pretending. Thinking of this, a sinister smile appeared on Zhao Jin's lips. The next second, Zhao Jin raised his sword with both fingers and stabbed Xu Xiao's wound fiercely. The latter groaned with a pained expression. That alone is not enough. Zhao Jin tore at the wound forcefully, intending to make the pain more severe. Even with an iron will, it is difficult to persist. But, even though Xu Xiao screamed hoarsely and passed out from the pain, Lu Li remained indifferent. Lightning arrows fell one after another without stopping. He seemed to really not care. On the contrary, Lin Qinyu, who was also captured, couldn't stand it anymore and screamed desperately for Zhao Jin to stop. Shut your mouth. Zhao Jin raised his hand and slapped Lin Qinyu, thinking about how to make Lu Li stop. If this continues, the little pine dog will almost be cooked by the lightning arrow. At this moment, the man with a wretched face suddenly spoke. Brother Jin, do you remember Chen Hao? Zhao Jin glanced at the man named Feng Shi and said impatiently. Why mention him? He has now recognized the thief as his father and has nothing to do with us. Feng Shi nodded repeatedly. Yes, but Chen Hao is actually dead, right? Zhao Jin became more and more confused about what Feng Shi was going to say, and said in a somewhat angry tone. What do you want to say in the end? Feng Shi laughed dryly, his eyes dark. I speculate that the reason why Lu Li is not worried about Xu Xiao being killed is because of his talent. Because he can take the dead Chen Hao as his summons. Zhao Jin was stunned. Why didn't he think of this? If Lu Li's talent can really turn dead people into summons, then Xu Xiao's death seems to be a good thing for him. Keep talking, Zhao Jin urged with a frown. Feng Shi licked his lips and looked forward to it. It is precisely because of this that Xu Xiao's death does not threaten Lu Li at all. If you want to get him to compromise, you have to use the same old methods. Take this little girl naked and let all the brothers have a good time. I don't believe Lu Li can remain indifferent. Yes, Zhao Jin slapped his head. Lu Li and Xu Xiao have a close relationship, and he would definitely not be able to bear Xu Xiao being humiliated. Lu Li, if you don't stop, this little beauty's innocence will be lost. By then, even if your ability can resurrect her, she will still have the memory of being humiliated in front of you. Are you really indifferent? Zhao Jin's voice was so loud that it was not only heard by Lu Li, but also fell into the ears of Wang Chao and Ma Han. The latter two's eyes were about to burst, and they wished they could rush forward and snatch Xu Xiao back. Lu Li also reacted this time. However, it was just a movement in the hand, slightly reducing the frequency of lightning arrow release. Feng Shi began to tear off the last clothes on Xu Xiao's body. Lewd laughter kept coming, but Lu Li remained unmoved. Save her, Lu Li. Ma Han struggled and screamed. Lu Li, save the squad leader first, please. Wang Chao knelt down and cried bitterly. Coward, you can't even protect your own woman, what kind of man are you, Lu Li? Lin Qinyu kept yelling. The figure in the clearing still didn't move. Everyone felt that Lu Li had given up on Xu Xiao. Only Alyssa, who was holding a shield and had a very low sense of presence, didn't think so. She twitched her ears and detected a familiar feeling from the figure. I remembered. It was the feeling that appeared around Master Lu Li when he killed the sword slave of the Chen family. Alyssa subconsciously activated her talent, the blessing of the goddess of luck. The next moment, the crackling sound of lightning arrows suddenly stopped. Lu Li's figure suddenly blurred. Instead, there was a dark shadow with a sad face. Feng Shi, who had been distracted, was stunned for a moment, and then he felt his arms light up. Warmth hit my face. It's not the sweet and creamy body temperature of the beauty underneath, but the smelly and hot blood. The hand that had been chopped off by Qi General was still twitching on the ground, like a vulture's claws, trying to desecrate the body that was so close. Feng Shi wanted to shout something, but only one syllable came out of his mouth. It was as if cement had sealed the mouth and nose. Cardiac arrest. The last thing he saw was Zhao Jin's horrified expression. Why did you trigger absolute kill? Lu Li, who had become invisible for a long time, was surprised, but his hands kept moving. The teeth were drawn out like running water, directly attacking Zhao Jin's throat. Perhaps the splash of blood revealed Lu Li's figure. Or perhaps Zhao Jin himself felt amazing. Facing the invisible attack, he subconsciously leaned back, barely avoiding the blade. Immediately afterwards, he flew up and kicked Xu Xiao and Feng Zai's body away several meters away. Zhao Jin, save me. Without the suppression of the lightning bolt, the piercing scream of the young pine dog sounded again. Stop shouting, I have to kill Lu Li first, otherwise neither of us will survive. Zhao Jin yelled irritably. Save me first. I have a way to break the invisibility and help you see him. Really, what's the benefit of me lying to you? Seeing that Xiao Songjiaquan had said this, Zhao Jin no longer hesitated, stretched out his hand to grab the hostage Lin Qinyu, and then he ran towards the black and red meat in long strides. There were screams behind him. Without the hostage, Zhao Jin's men were killed one after another by Lu Li. Seeing that the situation was not good, Wang Suyan and He Shufan retreated and sneaked into the survivors. You are acting like this now, how can you help me? Zhao Jin came to the piece of meat in two steps, and asked while being wary of his surroundings. Reach out your hand. The black and red meat pieces trembled and made a bewitching sound. Zhao Jin stretched out his arm dubiously. The next moment, a sudden change occurred. The black and red meat shrank suddenly, and a large number of tendrils pierced out, scrambling to dig into Zhao Jin's arm. The latter did not expect this change at all, and immediately screamed and backed away. What are you doing? Don't be afraid of Zhao Jinsong, you will be fine soon. The voice of Xiao Songjiaquan came out faintly. Only this time, the source of the sound was not a rapidly shriveling piece of black and red flesh. Instead, it came directly from Zhao Jin's throat. The flesh tendrils pierced Zhao Jin's flesh and blood, rapidly strengthening his body. The ferocious bone spurs broke through the skin, and the squirming muscles bulged. When a fist-sized, skinless scarlet head emerged from his neck, the fear on Zhao Jin's face had completely disappeared. Instead, there was a realization that was almost crazy. I see. Zhao Jin looked up and down his alienated body, with a satisfied smile on his distorted face. Now, I can see the target that is eroded by demonic energy. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Jin suddenly raised his arm to block in front of him. The bulging muscles were inexplicably opened. But Zhao Jin did not retreat but instead advanced, using his other deformed arm to grab hard into the air. The blood mist exploded in his palm. The injured Lu Li quickly retreated, his concealment completely exposed. Pooh! Lu Li spat out blood foam and activated his talent Extreme Healing. Although Zhao Jin's blow was harmless, after he combined with the parasitic demon, he also had a pollution aura around him. This blow doubled the negative effect of devil chi corrosion. If it hits 2 or 3 more times, it will inevitably lead to deep erosion. By then, even if Lu Li had extraordinary abilities, he would not be able to avoid the fate of transforming into a demon cocoon. It would be great if I had a sacred talent. Lu Li thought to himself and glanced at Lin Qinyu who was being controlled not far away. The holy blessing of the eldest lady of the Lin family is considered a holy talent. Or, find an opportunity to kill her, and then swallow the soul to seize her. As soon as the idea formed in his mind, Lu Li shook his head. He is not a murderous person. Although Lin Qinyu had offended him verbally, the crime would not lead to death. And, things haven't reached the end of the road yet. It seems that the demon erosion has begun to affect my mind. Lu Li frowned and put away the insect-toothed dagger. When Zhao Jin saw this, he thought Lu Li had given up resistance and laughed wildly. Ha ha ha, have you run out of skills? You know you are no match, so you plan to lay down your weapons and surrender. I'm telling you, it's too late. After saying this, Zhao Jin kicked the ground with both legs. Spider web cracks instantly burst out from the hard cement floor, and his figure was like a cannonball, hitting Lu Li hard. Lu Li, on the other hand, seemed to have really lost his fighting spirit and quickly moved aside, as if he was looking for a safe place to hide. It's too late to say it, but it's soon. Alyssa, who was watching the battle, felt the strong wind blowing against her body, and the next second she realized that Lu Li had hidden behind her. Alyssa, hold on. Ah, master, you. Before Alyssa could finish speaking, Zhao Jin had already arrived. A dull crashing sound came out. Alyssa felt her hands tighten and her body move back 2 inches involuntarily. After activating the talent, my luck really got worse and I failed to trigger the perfect block. Alyssa's eyes filled with tears. Not because it was scary, but because it hurt. Zhao Jin's impact force is too strong. Even with the damage reduction of Shield of the Coward, the impact transmitted to Alyssa was still terrifying. After Zhao Jin combined with the parasitic demon, his 4-dimensional attributes were greatly improved. Can't bear it, but it must be carried. Because this is Master Lu Li's order. Alyssa's eyes were firm, and her whole body was tense in preparation for subsequent attacks. But at this moment, suddenly a hand stretched out from behind her, crossed the shield and pressed on Zhao Jin. Owner. Alyssa turned her head and found that the expression on Lu Li's face was no longer solemn. That's good. Leave the rest to me. Lu Li gently pushed Alyssa away and activated the Libra talent at the same time. Libra, Overdraft. When the talent is activated, the upper limit of one's own crystal absorption is lifted, but the level cannot be improved. Only free attribute points of the corresponding level can be obtained after the talent ends. The additional attribute points disappear and will be automatically allocated after the level is truly improved. Fairness. Under the premise that Overdraft is activated, the target touched by the right hand will not be able to absorb the elemental crystal, and the 4-dimensional attribute values of both parties are forced to be equal. Duration, 5 minutes. Seeing Lu Li suddenly put his hand on Zhao Jin's shoulder, Xiaosong Jiquan couldn't help but laugh and said, Lu Li, what are you doing? Are you helping us dust off the dust? You're too weak. However, before she could finish her words, Zhao Jin's face quickly turned ugly. No, why is my strength attribute only 15.8? There's something wrong with this kid. The original 40 points of strength attribute were lost in half after being touched by Lu Li's right hand. Not only that, the remaining 3 attribute values have also changed. The speed attribute of 30 points becomes 15.9. The physical attribute of 50 points has become 15.6. The 10-point mental attribute increased slightly to 15.2. What the hell is going on? The little pine dog turned its deformed head, equally surprised. The two of them simultaneously remembered what Brother Dao had said before. I originally wanted to use Huang Bin's Libra talent to temporarily lock Lu Li's attributes and restrain him. Single quote. Locked attribute is Libra. Zhao Jin leaned back and retreated continuously. How could Lu Li have Huang Bin's talent? Is it possible that he also adopted the dead Huang Bin as a summoning object just like Chen Hao? But no summons appeared just now. It was only Lu Li who touched him. Could it be that Lu Li's talent was not simply to collect dead people as summons, but to plunder their abilities more thoroughly? Just thinking about it, Zhao Jin felt a cold sweat running down his back. It truly deserves to be called the Lu family, a heaven-level family. Even an abandoned orphan is so powerful. No, there's no way to fight, he's too strong. Zhao Jin communicated with Xiaosong Jiquan in his heart and wanted to escape. Compared to his panic, Xiaosong Jiquan seemed much calmer. I never expected that Zhao Jinsong's enemies would be so interesting. But don't worry, he is still no match for us. Are you crazy? Zhao Jin's mind didn't turn around for a while. Now our attributes are the same as Lu Li's, but his talents are much more than ours. If we really want to fight, how can we win? Xiaosong Jiquan moved his neck, with a strange smile on his skinless face. Zhao Jinsong, we are now the people of the Holy Lord. As long as we survive 2 or 3 rounds in Lu Li's hands without being killed, he will soon be inspired by the Holy Lord's aura and become our companion. When the time comes, do you still need to fight? Yes, Zhao Jin suddenly realized. As long as the effect of devil corrosion changes to deep corrosion, Lu Li will turn into a demon cocoon. When he breaks out of his cocoon and is reborn, he will be our companion. So, Xiaosong Zigu grinned in an exaggerated arc, let's speed up the progress of erosion. After the discussion, Zhao Jin cast his gaze in the direction of Lu Li. However, the expected battle did not happen. Instead of seizing the time to launch an attack, Lu Li slowly took out something from the space ring. It is a jade figurine the size of a thumb. Huh, are you planning to use props? Zhao Jin suddenly became alert. Although Zhao Jin was confident that Lu Li would be deeply eroded. But that doesn't mean he can make the props useless. If the jade figurine is a perfect or higher quality prop, Zhao Jin doesn't think he can handle it easily. As Lu Li exerted force with his fingertips, the jade figurine shattered into pieces and turned into a thin puppet. There are no facial features on the puppet's face, just a single character drawn monotonously. Brutal. Oh, that's it. Seeing the puppet reveal its figure, Zhao Jin's heart finally fell to the ground. Although he could not see the specific qualities of the puppet, Zhao Jin had heard it mentioned by the clan leader Zhao Quan. Puppet props tend to be more refined and more like real people, the better the quality. And now, Lu Li's puppet, not to mention exquisite. Not even the facial features. On the front door, he also wrote the word, violent, in a mysterious way. At first glance, it looks like a trashy puppet prop. Thinking of this, Zhao Jin couldn't help but taunted. Lu Li, do you only have this puppet prop? After hearing this, Lu Li, who was about to retreat to watch the show, was stunned. Hiss, how did Zhao Jin know that he had more than one sword slave? I originally wanted to be content with not showing all my cards. Since everyone has seen through it, there is no need to hide it anymore. Lu Li didn't say anything and crushed the other 3 jade figurines in silence. Seeing the 3 faceless puppets appearing one after another, Zhao Jinli's lips almost reached his ears. 4 faceless puppets. With their thin appearance, Zhao Jin felt that he could break them with just a flick of his fingers. It seemed that Lu Li had really exhausted all his means and was at his wit's end. Don't say I bully you. Zhao Jin shouted with disdain. With just these 4 puppets of yours, I'll stand there and let them attack for 1 minute. When all the survivors heard this, their hearts sank. Zhao Jin's words clearly did not take Lu Li's 4 puppets seriously. They thought that Lu Li's appearance could reverse the situation. But now it seems that is not the case. Lu Li, who had used all his cards, seemed to still be no match for Zhao Jin. Let my puppet attack you for 1 minute. You're not a very nice person. Lu Li cursed in his heart and immediately issued an attack order to the sword slave puppet. The 4 sword slaves drew their weapons and moved closer to Zhao Jin. Looking at the puppet whose movements were so slow that it could almost be described as slow, Zhao Jin became more and more conceited. He had even begun to think about what kind of tricks he should use to humiliate Lu Li after defeating him. In front of Lu Li, trampling on his classmates and trampling on his dignity. Or eat Lu Li alive bit by bit and make him suffer endless pain. Ah, only children make choices. Just give it all to Lu Li. Just as Zhao Jin was immersed in his fantasy, Xiao Songjiquan's scream suddenly exploded, startling him severely. What the hell? Zhao Jin was just about to curse when he suddenly noticed something was wrong around him from the corner of his eye. Wait a moment, what about the 4 slow, faceless puppets? The moment Zhao Jin reacted, 4 fierce attacks came from 4 directions at the same time. There is no hiding. Zhao Jin struggled to resist, trying to pass by force. But those 4 puppets, who looked thin and exhausted, burst out with unparalleled power at this moment. 4 knives hit Zhao Jin's limbs respectively, taking away most of his flesh and blood. Zhao Jin, who had well-developed limbs a second ago, instantly became a stick man, with thin arms and legs. Just when the blade was about to hit the vital point, Xiao Songjiquan quickly reminded in a sharp voice. Zhao Jin, use your talent quickly. The blade swept swiftly, like thunder and lightning. In an instant, it seemed that there was not enough for Zhao Jin to react. Shwashwashua. The sound of flesh being broken continued to sound. Zhao Jin stood frozen on the spot, like a sculpture. After the 4 puppets returned their swords to their sheaths, the flesh and blood on Zhao Jin's body fell to the ground like snow from treetops that had been shaken down. The 2 heads turned gruntingly on the ground, with peaceful expressions. 1. The survivors were stunned for a moment, and then burst into cheers. The eldest sister of the Lin family immediately rushed to Lin Qinyu to rescue the hostage sister. Lin Qinzu, on the other hand, carried the frost sword and killed all of Zhao Jin's men. Only Lu Li did not move, staring at the minced meat not far away with a solemn expression. Lu Li, your puppet is so powerful. I thought I was going to die in Zhao Jin's hands today. Wang Chao helped Xu Xiao up and said excitedly to Lu Li. Nonsense, Zhao Jin's methods are not enough in front of brother Lu. Ma Han raised his head with difficulty, panting and laughing. Lu Li ignored the two of them and instead spoke to Lin Qinhua in a hurried tone. Treat the injured and take them away. It's dangerous here. What? Lin Qinfang was quite surprised. Isn't Zhao Jin dead? Mr. Lu, are you afraid that they will have reinforcements? No. Lu Li shook his head and slowly approached the minced meat. Zhao Jin is not dead yet, please leave immediately. By the way, don't forget to ask Lin Qinyu to remove the effect of demon erosion. If this effect lasts for a long time, it will turn into deep erosion. Even if the gods come, they won't be able to save it. Zhao Jin is not dead yet. Lin Qinfang was stunned and looked at the minced meat with some confusion. He's been chopped like this, but he's not dead yet. However, if you don't understand it, you won't understand it. The eldest sister of the Lin family still trusted Lu Li's judgment and immediately asked her sister to activate Holy Blessing to eliminate the negative effects for everyone. On the contrary, Lin Qinyu muttered dissatisfiedly. You're obviously dead, but you're still making excuses. What a pretentious criminal. Qinyu. Lin Qinfang frowned and shouted. No rudeness. Lin Qinyu shrank her neck and blessed everyone honestly. But only Lu Li was skipped. Naturally, Lin Qinfang couldn't hide this little trick. Why don't you give Mr. Lu a blessing? Lin Qinyu remained silent and continued to bless the remaining survivors. It wasn't until the negative effects on everyone were cleared that she spoke with a haughty look. Give him a blessing. Of course you can, but I have a condition. I want the Lin family to no longer recognize him as their master, and I want Lu Li to be my servant. Lin Qinfang was shocked and stopped her repeatedly. Qinyu, stop talking and give your blessing to Mr. Lu. Sister, didn't you listen to what he just said? Lin Qinyu looked at Lu Li's back, her eyes filled with self-satisfaction. If the effect of demon corrosion is suspended for a long time, it will turn into deep corrosion. Even if the gods come, they won't be able to save you. Without my blessing, Lu Li will definitely die. Sister, this is a good opportunity. Lin Qinfang frowned and completely disagreed with her sister's approach. Qinyu, Mr. Lu has been kind to us. What's the difference between doing this and repaying kindness with enmity? Lin Qinyu pushed Lin Qinfang away and said stubbornly. I don't care about repaying kindness with hatred. I only know that the Lin family cannot become someone else's vassal. No one can step on the Lin family's head. Even if the old man is gone, I can't do it. After saying that, she turned around and ran towards Lu Li, shouting as she ran. Lu Li, if you want me to remove the demon erosion from your body, you must sign a slave contract and accept me as your master. Otherwise, just wait to die. Lu Li's attention was highly focused on the minced meat, and he was always on guard. Suddenly hearing Lin Qinyu's shouting, her thoughts couldn't help but froze. Just then, the two heads that fell to the ground suddenly trembled, and their eyes opened together. Among them, Zhao Jin's one burst out with a large number of fleshy tentacles and stabbed Lu Li fiercely. The little pine dog's little one bounced up from the ground like a flea and rushed towards Lin Qinyu. Lu Li was unable to parry and could barely block Zhao Jin's offensive. But let Xiao Songjiquan take advantage of the loophole. The moment his head hit Lin Qinyu's arm, it was as if he had grown up with her. No matter how much Lin Qinyu screamed and struggled, she couldn't get rid of Xiao Songjiquan's head. You want to kill me with just a few puppets? You are so naive, you Chinese pig. A male-female harsh laugh came from Lin Qinyu's throat. Like a cone, it pierced into the hearts of the Lin sisters. Seeing Lin Qinyu being captured again, Lu Li was immediately speechless. How come this incompetent young lady is always unhelpful? Wouldn't it be better to just stay back? Seeing that there was no hope of saving anyone, Lu Li simply concentrated on dealing with Zhao Jin. However, what I didn't expect was that Zhao Jin's head was nothing more than a bait. Under the repeated attacks of lightning arrows and sword slaves, it was quickly reduced to rubbish on the ground. On the contrary, Lin Qinyu, who was parasitized, jumped and dodged a few times and fled the scene as fast as flying. Qinyu. Lin Qinhua seemed to have had her backbone taken away, and her knees softened and she knelt on the ground. Lin Qinzu was silent, her beautiful face as cold as frost. Mr. Lu. Lin Qinfang took 2 steps forward. My sister. Don't worry, Her talent is the holy system, and her life will not be in danger in a short time. If you want to save her, you have to think long term. Lu Li put away the puppet and said calmly, "The top priority is to remove the demon erosion from my body." Hearing this, Lin Qinfeng's face turned red. If it weren't for his sister Lin Qinyu's temper, the negative effects on Lu Li should have been eliminated long ago. Now not only has Lu Li been left with a hidden danger, but he is also asking for help. The truth made her extremely ashamed. "What can I do for you, Mr. Lu?" Lu Li pondered for a moment. "Take the people back first and continue to complete the tasks I gave you." Lin Qinyu nodded slightly and turned to the survivors. What to do with these people? Lu Li also followed Lin Qinyu's gaze and turned to look. However, his eyes did not fall on the survivors, only on Wang Chao and Ma Han. "What are your plans next?" Ma Han moved his newly healed arm, looked at Wang Chao who was helping Xu Xiao, and twitched the corner of his mouth. "I would like to find my family first, but unfortunately my parents are in Yucheng, and transportation is inconvenient now, so I don't have to think about it for the time being." Wang Chao replied naively, "I live with my grandfather, but after the disaster broke out, he disappeared. If possible, I would like to look for him in the city." Lu Li nodded. "In that case, you might as well follow Lin Qinfeng first." Lin Qinfeng, Wang Chao and Ma Han both looked at the tall woman. Whether it's in terms of clothing or combat performance, this woman doesn't have the same style of painting as them at all. Lu Li is a poor student. No father or mother. How do you know this kind of person? And, judging from Lin Qinfeng's appearance, it seemed that she still wanted Lu Li. Could it be that this person is the rich woman Lu Li just had love with? Thinking of this, expressions of, "I understand," appeared on Wang Chao and Ma Han's faces at the same time. No wonder Lu Li ignored Xu Xiaoai. Daqing saves 40 years of detours. Lu Li didn't know what the living treasure across from him was thinking about. He just took off his windbreaker and wanted to cover Xu Xiao. Unexpectedly, Xu Xiao turned around and hid, with a hint of hatred rising in his eyes. Like being naked, Lu Li stopped for a moment, feeling slightly confused. Xu Xiao was so angry that she bit her lip tightly and held it in for a long time before she managed to squeeze out a few words. "I don't want you to be hypocritical. By accepting your kindness today, I have repaid the life I owed you. From now on, we will have nothing to do with each other." Wang Chao and Ma Han looked at each other and raised their eyebrows. "Mr. Monitor, this is... I'm jealous." Lu Li frowned slightly, wondering why Xu Xiao was so angry. But since they said they didn't owe each other anything, Lu Li was happy to be at ease. He nodded, looked at Lin Qinfeng and said, "I'll ask you to take care of these 3 people first." "Need not." Xu Xiao took half a step forward and took the lead. "I said, from now on, I will have nothing to do with you, Lu Li. I won't leave with you, and you don't have to worry about my safety. I will continue to stay here and face difficulties together with the survivors." As soon as he said this, before Lu Li could respond, dissatisfied voices came from the surrounding survivors. "What nonsense, are we facing difficulties together? We don't need you to stay here." "That's right, if it weren't for you, our neighbors wouldn't have died for no reason. You, the broomstick, have brought all the disasters. I thought you were very capable and a partner I could rely on, but I didn't expect you were just looking for a useless vase. Go, 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 you are not welcome in Sunshine Community. Leave the food before you go away, it's our property." There was a buzz of yelling and swearing. Xu Xiao listened, with tears welling up in his eyes. The girl clutched her chest, pushed through the crowd and ran outside. "Hey, Monitor, please stop. If you have something to say, please tell me." Ma Han immediately chased after him. Wang Chao stood there blankly, a little at a loss. Seeing this, Lin Qinfeng sighed softly, took the windbreaker from Lu Li's hand, and handed it to Wang Chao. "Go and persuade her to at least put her clothes on." "Okay." Wang Chao nodded naively and quickly chased Ma Han. "It seems that Mr. Lu is not good at pleasing girls." Lin Qinfeng's tone was slightly teasing. But seeing that Lu Li didn't answer, she wisely didn't continue. "Correct." Lu Li seemed to suddenly think of something and asked, "I saw your third sister Lin Qinzu using a sword. Her talent is sharpness." Lin Qinfeng was about to answer when Lin Qinzu's gentle voice came over. No, Mr. Liu, my talent is the animal control system, called Heart of Frost. Lu Li was surprised. It's not because of the rare talent, but because of Lin Qinzu's voice. Unexpectedly, the third sister of the Lin family, who has the fewest lines and the most murderous intentions. It sounds so nice to speak. Heart of Frost, I feel like I've heard of it somewhere before. Lu Li thought to himself and said, talent level. Platinum. Platinum level Heart of Frost. Frost Lord, wait, you are the Frost Lord. Lin Qinzu looked confused. Mr. Liu, what are you talking about? What Frost Lord? However, Lu Li was completely immersed in memories at the moment and did not answer Lin Qinzu immediately. Quote. No, Lord Frost is a wretched old man, and his gender just doesn't match him. Is it just a coincidence? They happen to have the same talent. Quote. The Zhao family designed to destroy the Lin family, and the Frost territory is a dependency of the Zhao family. There must be something fishy here. Thinking of this, Lu Li raised his head and met Lin Qinzu's gentle eyes. Only then did he realize that he had made a mistake. He coughed dryly to cover up his embarrassment and said, Ahem, it's nothing. Your talent is pretty good. After destroying the Zhao family, you might be able to take a step further. When the Zhao family was mentioned, hatred emerged in Lin Qinzu's eyes, but it quickly disappeared and she let out a sweet hum. Just when Lu Li was about to leave with Alyssa, Wang Chao ran back panting. Lu Li, the monitor doesn't want to come back. Skinny and I were worried that something would happen to her alone, so. Lu Li shrugged his shoulders and didn't say anything. He just glanced at Lin Qinfeng. The latter immediately understood and said to Wang Chao, it's okay if you don't want to come back. Just add a friend first. If you encounter any difficulties, you can contact me directly. Good. Wang Chao nodded gratefully, and then said to Lu Li with some embarrassment. Can I ask you for something? You say, can you take care of Cheng Duoduo? She is a good person. While speaking, Wang Chao looked at the crowd. Cheng Duoduo's injuries have recovered under group treatment. But it may be because the previous experience was too terrible and left a psychological shadow on her. The girl was still sitting on her knees, trembling all over. We are all classmates. If you don't tell me, I will help. Lu Li affirmed. Thanks. Wang Chao smiled naively, turned around and ran in the direction he came from. Lin Qinhua stepped forward in 2 steps, helped Cheng Duoduo up from the ground, and said softly. Don't be afraid, you are safe. Lin Qinfeng sighed lightly and asked again. What about the remaining survivors? Lu Li stared at the trembling Cheng Duoduo and said in a low but clear voice. According to my idea, kill them all. What? Lin Qinfeng felt that there was something wrong with his ears. Although Lu Li could not be said to be helpful, he would not kill innocent people indiscriminately, anyway. Otherwise, Lin Qinyu would have died 100 times long ago. Although the survivors of Sunshine Community were helpless at the critical moment, it is human nature to be greedy for life and afraid of death. Kill people for this reason. Wouldn't it be a little too cruel? Lu Li slowly turned his head, his eyes cold. Betrayers deserve to die. But, Lu Li drawled his voice and changed the subject. It wasn't me they betrayed, so I shouldn't decide their life or death. I also want to clear out the demon erosion, so take the first step. After saying that, Lu Li waved to Alyssa and strode outside. Looking at the young man's back, Lin Qinfeng was speechless. It wasn't until Lu Li disappeared from sight that a lot of cold sweat broke out on the back of the leader of the Lin family. Lu Li was beating himself up by saying this. The survivor's betrayal was used to allude to Lin Qinyu's backstabbing. Lin Qinyu's behavior undoubtedly touched the minefield of this strong man. But instead of caring, Lu Li promised to go to the rescue. If we talk about fair trade and mutual benefit, what did the Lin family do for Lu Li? It's just collecting gold and gathering information. And Lu Li risked his lifetime and time again to save the Lin family from disaster. The effort between the two is completely unequal. What is he planning? Don't be a betrayer. Does he want a loyal servant? Lin Qinfeng murmured to himself. Lin Qinhua saw Lin Qinfeng's uncertain expression and said with concern. Sister, what's wrong with you? It's okay. Lin Qinfeng twitched the corner of his mouth and smiled a little bitterly. Pay attention to the global trading market these 2 days and collect a slave contract. Yangcheng, a secret underground research institute somewhere. The entire underground space was covered with expensive sound insulation materials, and the smell of disinfectant was so thick that it seemed to have taken root in the air. Jen Nahi shrank her neck, being sandwiched between two men in black, and stumbled forward. After twisting and turning for an unknown amount of time, the three of them finally stopped in front of a heavy metal door. One of the men in black took 2 steps forward and whispered something to the monitor next to the door. After a moment, the metal door slowly opened. There was wind blowing out from the crack in the door, and Jen Nahi couldn't help but take a breath. Immediately, it seemed as if a big hand suddenly grasped his stomach, and waves of vomiting came over him like waves. The smell of blood. It was the smell of blood that no amount of disinfectant could cover up. Even though Jen Nahi is a forensic doctor and has been practicing for decades, she has never smelled such a strong smell of blood. Jen Nahi was vomiting so much that it took her a long time to straighten up. He trembled and said to the man in black, "You two gentlemen, where exactly is this place?" The man in black did not answer Jen Nahi's question, but said in a stiff tone, "After you get in, do your job well. If you don't do it well, your life will be lost. Are you clear?" "Hey, it's clear, it's clear." Jen Nahi had a grimace on his face, and the legs he stepped forward felt like he was stepping on cotton. The space inside the door is not small. At first glance, it looks like an operating room. Many utensils of unknown purpose were placed around, and a metal bed lay horizontally in the center. There is an old man tied to the bed. Although his hair is gray, he is full of energy and is yelling and cursing at the moment. There was a group of white coats surrounding the bed. Seeing Jen Nahi come in, a middle-aged man wearing gold-rimmed glasses smiled and waved. "Your Excellency Jen Nahi, I am Ishii Sengen, I am very happy to meet you." "It's Sakura people." The uneasiness in Jen Nahi's heart quickly spread. "Mr. Ishii Sananu, what do you want me to do?" Ishii Sengu pointed to the old man on the metal bed, and then pointed to the neatly stacked knives beside the bed. "I heard that your anatomy skills are excellent, and you are one of the best among the forensic doctors in Yongchang. So, I want to ask you to dissect this old man." After saying that, Ishii Sengen bowed slightly to Jen Nahi. Jen Nahi suddenly felt her head buzzing. You mean, let me dissect him?" "That's right, but he is a living person. I am a forensic doctor, I only dissect corpses." Ishii Sengen raised his head with a sick smile on his face. "I believe in your anatomy skills. There is not much difference between a living person and a corpse." "How can it be that there is not much difference?" Jen Nahi felt suffocated, and her stomach, which had finally calmed down, was churning again. You want me to kill someone?" No. Ishii Sengen shook his head repeatedly. "During the autopsy process, please make sure that this old man is alive." "What?" Jen Nahi retched again due to extreme fear. "What's the difference between doing this and Lingqi?" "Ah, yes, it's Ling Kai." Ishii Sengen's face flushed with excitement. "My Chinese is not very good, please forgive me. I invite you here this time just for the sake of the old man, Ling Kai. Because only by making him feel extreme pain can this prop be effective." Ishii Sandog moved his body, revealing the props behind him. It was a clay statue the size of a palm. Wearing Sakura-style clothes, squinting eyes and crooked mouth, looking ugly. Although Jen Nahi could not see the specific attributes of the clay statue, her heart skipped several beats just by staring at it for a few seconds. "This thing is so evil. I don't do it, I can't do it." Jen Nahi took 2 steps back and wanted to escape. Someone in a white coat yelled, "Baga, if you don't work, you will die." Dead, I will die. If I were to torture and kill my compatriots, I cannot do such a sinful thing." Jen Nahi seemed to be aroused and roared in response. A cold light flashed in Ishii Sengen's eyes, and he sneered. "Your Excellency is so brave, I admire you. But please don't forget, if I can invite you here, I will definitely be able to bring your family with me. Li Luo, she should be your precious daughter, right?" Having said that, Ishii Sananu took out a tablet. The live broadcast above shows a mother and daughter being tied up. Jen Nahi's pupils shrank, and his whole body trembled uncontrollably as if he was electrocuted. "I have divorced Li Wook. Li Luo has been sentenced to her mother, and they have nothing to do with me." "Oh," Ishii Sengu said in a long voice. If that's the case, there's no need to keep it. Tojo-kun, please kill them all. Seeing someone in the white coat was about to leave, Gen-Nehi hurriedly shouted. Don't hurt them. I will do it, I will do it. Ishii Sandog grinned and became polite again. Then please start quickly, Your Excellency. Gen-Nehi took 3 trembling steps and slowly moved towards the metal bed. The gear rotated, and the bed began to change its angle, leading the old man to straighten up little by little. Let me go, I still have a grandson, don't associate with those beasts. The old man saw Gen-Nehi's face clearly and begged sadly. Gen-Nehi hesitated again, and the hand reaching for the knife stopped in midair. Idiot! A roar came from the white coat. Ishii Sanu pushed up his glasses and said with a smile. Time is precious, think about your daughter. Gen-Nehi choked up. He felt like a complete coward. I'm sorry, sir, they threatened me with my daughter. I really have no choice. The scalpel felt cold, cutting off the old man's body temperature. Gen-Nehi opened the skin mechanically. Blood seeped out and screams were heard. Ishii Sanu gasped with excitement, as if what was happening in front of him would make him reach the top of the mountain and be extremely happy. He kept praising Gen-Nehi's anatomy skills. The old man's shrill screams never stopped. The ugly clay sculpture began to change. Black and red lines appear vaguely on its surface, twisting and wriggling like earthworms. The volume of the clay sculptures has also expanded imperceptibly, and the details of the characters' faces have become more refined. Kill me, kill me. The old man was like a trapped animal, and every syllable he shouted tore at Gen-Nehi's soul. Gen-Nehi could only keep apologizing and then stabbing her. It seems that the progress is too slow. Ishii Senkin took 2 steps forward, pinched Gen-Nehi's neck like a chicken, and urged. Not enough, not enough. Places like ears and nose are places that won't bleed heavily after being cut off. Try it now. The next step is to open his belly and take out his intestines. Be sure to move gently, don't let him die, otherwise, your baby girl will not survive, he he he. Yes, yes, that's it. Come here, bring a mirror and put it in front of the old man. I want him to appreciate it. Appreciate how he is being dissected bit by bit. I don't know how long it lasted. Until Gen-Nehi could no longer hold the scalpel, until the entire metal bed was soaked with blood. Ishii Sengen clapped his hands, like a toad that had eaten its fill of insects, sighing with satisfaction. Well done, Your Excellency Gen-Nehi, your excellent dissection techniques helped you complete the task ahead of schedule. Gen-Nehi's legs softened and she fell to the ground like a puddle of mud. He knew that the old man was still alive, but he didn't dare to look. He didn't even dare to look at his right hand. I dare not think back on what I just did. Ishii Sanu returned to the table and greedily picked up the statue. At this moment, the surface of the clay statue was covered with complicated patterns and was shining steadily. The props have been charged. We can bring the Zhao family here. Yes, a response came from the white coat. Sakura, who Ishii called Toki-kun, walked out of the metal door with a figure-footed step. When he came back, there was an old man with a wretched face behind him. If Lu Li were here at this moment, he would definitely be extremely surprised when he saw this old man. Because he is not someone else. It was the Frost Lord who possessed the heart of frost in the previous life, Zhao Wu. Ishii Tai-kun, I heard that the items have been charged. Zhao Wu's face was full of flattery, and his waist almost bent to 90 degrees. Yes, thanks to the help of Mr. Gen-Nehi, the charging can be completed so quickly. That's great. Zhao Wu quickly glanced at Gen-Nehi on the ground, with a contemptuous smile on his lips. Then let's get started quickly. I believe that after success, the friendship between the Morioka clan and the Zhao family will be even stronger. That's what I meant. Shijing also smiled and handed the statue to Zhao Wu. Don't be afraid, it will take away your talent, but it won't cause you any harm. Although he knew that Ishii had no reason to lie to him, Zhao Wu's heart still skipped a beat when his hands touched the clay statue. In case something goes wrong, he, Zhao Wu, is about to become the first untalented player in the world. Fortunately, no accident occurred. The clay statue quietly took away Zhao Wu's talent, and at the same time, the surface lines dimmed. To use it again, it must be recharged. It seems that there is no problem in the capturing step. Next, as long as the giving step can be successful, the God-making project can be carried out smoothly. Zhao Erwu handed the statue back to him with both hands, his face even more flattering. Ishi nodded, but deliberately showed a worried expression. It's a pity that the charging method of this item is a bit special, so I'm afraid it won't be able to perform several power replacements. As Mr. Ishii worried about the consumption of each charge, Zhao Erwu rolled his eyes and immediately guessed what Ishii was thinking. Yes, to carry out a capture, it takes the pain of 10 people to charge the props. If the amount of pain required for endowment is the same, then 20 lives will be needed to complete a complete ability replacement. Ishii rubbed the clay statue. There are not many talents left in the laboratory. Zhao Erwu laughed twice and said flatteringly, if this is what Tycoon Ishii is worried about, then you can put your heart back in your stomach. What does China have so many people? It has the most people. If we don't have enough talent, we can replenish at any time and anywhere. But we don't have that many manpower. His Majesty the Emperor sent us here for more than just creating gods. Ishii put the statue back on the table and put his hands behind his back. Don't worry about the manpower issue. My good nephew already has a countermeasure. Oh, Zhao Jinsong has a way. Zhao Erwu chuckled. Now the whole city of Yang is in panic because of the resurgence. We have already released the news that a shelter has been established in the center of Yangcheng, which can provide 3 meals a day and safe shelter. It won't take long for those survivors to gather in a steady stream. At that time, not only will we have as many talented people as we want. A smile finally appeared on Ishii's face. Yoshi, it seems that cooperating with the Zhao family is a wise move for the Morioka clan. It's just that I heard that Zhao Jinsong seems to have encountered some troubles recently, and I don't know if they have been resolved. Zhao Erwu waved his hand nonchalantly. What's the trouble? He's just a clown. But, not long ago, I saw the announcement that Lu Li was the first to kill a lord creature. Ishii's tone was playful. Maybe he just got lucky again. Don't worry, Zhao Jin has a way to find and deal with Lu Li. If you don't believe it, we can look at the ranking list. Maybe that clown has disappeared now. While talking, Zhao Erwu had already clicked on the data panel. However, the moment the level list appeared, the look on his face froze. The first place remains unchanged, still Lu Li at level 15. On the contrary, Zhao Jin, who was on the list, disappeared. What happened? Zhao Jin hasn't dealt with that kid yet. There was a thin layer of sweat on Zhao Erwu's forehead. He quickly opened the friend interface and tried to send a message to Zhao Jin. But Zhao Jin's name was also missing from the friend interface. Excluding the fact that Zhao Jin had a brain convulsion and blacklisted himself, there is only one possibility left. Zhao Jin is dead. Zhao Erwu's eyes widened and he felt like a clown. At this moment, Ishii suddenly spoke. Erwu sang, I just received news from Ji Quan, saying that Zhao Jinsong is with her and is rushing to the laboratory. Hearing this, Zhao Erwu couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Ah, it's okay. I thought he had an accident. Unexpectedly, Ishii's face turned ugly. There was indeed an accident. Not only Zhao Jinsong, but also the young dog was severely injured. The one named Lu Li is not as easy to deal with as you said. Looking at Shi Jing with a sullen expression, Zhao Erwu felt his face getting hot and wanted to find a hole in the ground to crawl in. Just after you finished showing off, you were slapped in the face at the speed of light. It felt really sour. But now is not the time to be embarrassed. The strangest thing about Zhao Erwu now is that Zhao Jin, who had clearly made all preparations, couldn't even win against a single player. Although Lu Li has reached level 15 and ranks first on the level list. But Zhao Jin also has Xiaozong Jiquan to help him. Especially the woman's prop magic crystal pendant, which can invalidate the talents of all players who are close to her. This is equivalent to shooting a primitive man with an AK. How could it be possible to lose? It can't be that Zhao Jin is wielding the AK like a fire stick, right? The more Zhao Erwu thought about it, the more his scalp became numb. Ishii snorted coldly. Erwu-song, I have fully felt the Zhao family's intention to cooperate, but in terms of strength, it still needs to be considered. So we'd better put the God-making plan on hold for the time being, and let's ask them when they come back. Zhao Erwu looked bitter, but he could only respond. Time passed slowly while waiting. When Xiaosong returned to the laboratory, a full hour had passed. Ishi and Zhao Erwu looked at the strange-looking woman in front of them with different expressions on their faces. After a long time, Zhao Erwu stumbled and asked, "What the hell is going on? Why is there only one person? Where is Zhao Jin?" Ishi looked solemn, stared at the withered head on the woman's arm, and murmured, "I didn't expect you to actually use that prop." Lin Qinyu opened her mouth and spit out a mixed voice. "There is no way, my body is destroyed, I can only use the corruption essence." Zhao Erwu hurriedly asked, "What's going on? Did the Lu family take action?" Xiaosong Jiquan twitched his lips and said, "No, there's just Lu Li and a woman holding a shield. The Lin family came to help, but their role was very small. On the contrary, I have to thank the Lin family for being able to escape this time. If this silly girl hadn't caused trouble at the critical moment, Zhao Jinsong and I would have died at the hands of Lu Li." As he spoke, Komatsu and Inazuki pointed at himself. Zhao Erwu was surprised. "So, you and Zhao Jin are using this body together now?" Xiaosong Jiquan raised his eyebrows and said proudly, "Almost, but Zhao Jinsong lost part of his soul when he escaped in order to protect me. So now he can only help suppress Lin Qinyu. The control of his body is mainly in my hands. Then you two will always share the same body?" Zhao Erwu asked worriedly. "This is no longer love." Xiaosong Zigu frowned, impatient with Zhao Erwu's slow response. "Isn't there a Motuo clay statue? Wouldn't it be nice to use that prop to find a body for Zhao Jinsong? You must know that that thing can not only transfer talent." Ishi nodded in agreement. "Yes, you two are now the subjects of the Holy Lord. Your affinity with the Motuo clay statue will be higher, and the resistance to the transfer will be much smaller. Ju Inu-chan, I happen to have a girl's body on my hands, and my talents are very good. How about I transfer it to you later?" "Girl, could it be that you just played with her?" Xiaosong's eyes showed disgust. "How could that be? You know I only like little Daisy who is under 14 years old. That girl has just turned 17 and is not to my liking." Ishi smiled abnormally, as if what he was discussing was not a living person, but a piece of goods. It's worth mentioning that her father is one of the best forensic doctors in Yangcheng. Lingqi's talent is very skilled and he is a great charger tool. Xiaosong Jiquan curled his lips. "Okay, let's keep it for now until we deal with Lu Li." Zhao Erwu flinched when he heard that Xiaosong Jiquan still wanted to cause trouble for Lu Li. "That Lu Li is not easy to mess with, why don't we forget it?" Zhao Erwu's attitude towards Lu Li changed drastically, and it was definitely not because of pettiness. In his opinion, Zhao Jin, who was fully prepared, was no match for Lu Li. Sakura Tycoon, who is short of manpower, is probably in trouble. "Forget it." Lin Qinyu tilted her head towards Zhao Erwu, her eyes full of contempt. "Can your Zhao family swallow this breath?" Without waiting for Zhao Erwu to answer, Xiaosong Jiquan continued. "Even if you Zhao family are all wimps and can swallow this breath, I will not let Lu Li go. I must get his talent." Seeing the ruthless expression on Xiaosong Jiquan's face, Ishi couldn't help but curiously said, "The one named Lu Li has a very strong talent. Not only is it strong, but it's also weirdly strong." Xiaosong Jiquan gritted his teeth and said, "Lu Li can use dead people as summons. It can also summon a huge number of summons in an instant. His talent has multiple development directions and even has therapeutic effects. The most important thing is that my magic crystal pendant cannot invalidate his talent." Every time the Komatsu child said something, the surprise on Ishi's face became more intense. No wonder Jinguzhang was defeated and even used his life-saving trump card. Zhao Erwu hurriedly agreed. "Lu Li is too strong. If he blindly provokes him, he may attract the attention of the Lu family. This is a disaster. Let's forget it." I thought Ishi would agree with me. However, Ishi changed the subject, and his surprised expression quickly turned into greed. "No, Lu Li's appearance is exactly the gift given to us by the Holy Lord." Zhao Erwu was stunned. He felt that he couldn't keep up with Ishi's brain circuit at all. "Excuse me, besides us who have the Motuo clay statue, who else can plunder Lu Li's talent?" Ishi's eyes were wild, as if he had Lu Li under control. "It turns out that I took a fancy to someone else's talent." Zhao Erwu secretly cursed. Knowing that he could not persuade these two Sakura people, Zhao Wu simply continued. I was just enlightened after hearing what Taijin said. But Lu Li is not a good person. If we want to take him down, we don't have enough manpower. Stupid dog, who told you to fight head-on? Xiao Songjiquan did not hide it anymore and said with disdain. Don't you Chinese people have an idiom called, a war is never tired of deceit? We can use a strategy to plot against Lu Li. Zhao Wu's mouth twitched. Little devil, the idioms are used quite smoothly. I wonder if Ms. Xiaosong has any good ideas. Zhao Wu pretended not to hear the insult and asked, pretending to be curious. This body is the best strategy. Xiao Songjiquan rolled his eyes and didn't hide it. As far as I know, Lin Qinyu is the most favored daughter of the Lin family. She was held hostage. Do you think the Lin family will send someone to rescue her? Zhao Wu shrugged. Of course, but what does this have to do with Lu Li? The Lin family has a close relationship with Lu Li, and Lin Qinyu was kidnapped because of him. Do you think Lu Li will stand idly by? Oh, so, Miss Komatsu wants to wait and see. That's right. Zhao Wu looked respectful on the surface, but his tone turned teasing. However, even Zhao Jin, who was fully prepared, failed to capture Lu Li. How do you think Miss Komatsu thinks that with just a few of us, we will be able to catch this cunning rabbit? It doesn't matter if you can't catch it. Xiao Songjiquan waved his hand, full of confidence. Because I still have a backup plan. I will not leave this body for the time being and be imprisoned by you pretending to be Lin Qinyu. If we really lose to Lu Li, then, you can let him rescue Lin Qinyu. A Trojan horse that has passed through the city gate will definitely be able to capture Lu Li if he wants to. Zhao Wu suddenly realized. No wonder this female devil said that a soldier never tires of deceit. Da Qing is thinking about Yin Lu Li. However, because he could not save his face, Zhao Wu whispered again. It's okay to pretend, but with your voice now, do you really know that you can't fake it? Stupid dog, Xiao Songjiquan yelled. The sound I am making now is because Zhao Jinsong is still in this body. Just use Motuo clay statue to separate him. Yangchang, comprehensive shopping mall. Ah, sneeze. Lu Li rubbed his nose and moved his gaze to the Parlu's round and perky buttocks. The fluffy cat tail swings back and forth, as if trying to lure people into committing a crime. Lu Li was silent for a while and then said, Alyssa, are you losing hair? Ah, Alyssa turned around in panic. No, no. Then why do I keep sneezing? Could it be related to demon erosion? It's possible. Lu Li rubbed his nose again, still feeling a little uncomfortable. Although he had experience in his previous life, Lu Li had never experienced the negative feelings that evil energy erosion brought to his body. After all, if he suffered from demon erosion in his previous life, he would clear it up as soon as possible, so how could he drag it out like this now? Cheating Lin Qinyu. If she hadn't been caught, she wouldn't have had to suffer this crime. Lu Li felt agitated when he thought that Bloody Massacre still had nearly 15 hours of cooling time. Seeing Lu Li's unhappy expression, Alyssa whispered, Master, I have a way, which may be able to remove the effect of demon erosion. When Lu Li heard this, his eyes lit up. Any solution? Alyssa didn't know what she thought of, but her face suddenly turned red and she hesitated. Say it quickly, don't scare me. Virgin blood. Alyssa spit out 3 words in a weak moan. Then he seemed to regret saying it and quickly added. It's just a folk remedy, I don't know if it will work. Lu Li's eyes twitched and he said dejectedly. Let's not talk about whether the method will work or not. Just virgin blood, there is nowhere to find it. Not to mention that the apocalypse is now breaking out and the population is declining sharply. Even if the apocalypse hadn't broken out, it would still be difficult to find a virgin. Alyssa's face turned redder, and her 2 little hands kept rubbing the corners of her clothes. I am complete and can help the master. Well. Lu Li's breath froze and he looked Alyssa up and down. It wasn't until the girl was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a crack in the ground to crawl in, then Lu Li shook his head with a weird look on his face. Forget it, I'd better wait for Bloody Massacre to cool down. Alyssa was stunned, feeling an inexplicable sense of loss in her heart. The perfect body that she regarded as a treasure turned out to be worthless in the eyes of Master Lu Li. She is obviously one of the best in appearance and figure among the people of Palu. Why? Alyssa couldn't help but express the questions in her heart. Lu Li scratched his head, feeling a little embarrassed. Although Alyssa's identity is that of a slave, as a master, it is reasonable to do whatever you want to your slaves. But if this scene really happened to him, Lu Li would always feel that something was strange. I'm a little tired. It's better for us to collect food first and find a place to rest. A bit tired, Alyssa repeated in a murmur. She suddenly realized something. Lu Li seemed to have never rested since the beginning of the hub arena. He keeps fighting. If it were anyone else, I'm afraid they wouldn't be able to hold on long ago. So that's it. I thought it was me. As long as Master Lu Li doesn't dislike me. Alyssa was thinking randomly in her mind. And Lu Li had already started searching various stores. Although it had only been 4 days since the apocalypse broke out, the shopping mall had already shown signs of being searched. Many shops showed signs of being violently demolished, with scattered goods and broken glass everywhere. Because there was a space ring, Lu Li didn't have to worry about its expiration, deterioration or being inconvenient to carry. Whether it's food, drinks, or clothing and tools. Anything that could be used was put into the ring by Lu Li. Even the luxury cars parked in the shopping mall were collected by Lu Li. For nothing else, just because the ring has a large space, you can't pretend to be white. Alyssa followed Lu Li and also collected a lot of women's clothing. But what puzzled Lu Li was that most of the clothes Alyssa collected were low in fabric. There are even a lot of erotic overtones. Facing Lu Li's inquiry, Alyssa explained that these clothes were light and easy to wear. God is so neat at work. Lu Li felt that it was necessary for him to take some time to learn more about the dressing style on Earth with this alien slave. After searching the goods in the shop, Lu Li and Alyssa went to the underground warehouse. As the largest comprehensive shopping mall in Yangcheng, the inventory in the underground warehouse can almost be described as terrifying. But it still couldn't fill Lu Li's space ring. After all the warehouses were emptied, there was still 3/5 of the space in Lu Li's ring. Finally done, let's find a place to rest. Lu Li stretched and left the shopping mall with Alyssa. However, as soon as the two walked out of the door, they met a group of survivors in different costumes. Apparently, he came to the shopping mall to search for supplies. A gentleman-looking man dressed as a white-collar worker walked out of the crowd, stretched out his right hand to Lu Li and said, "Hello friends, my name is Song Siming, and I am the leader of the survivors in this area." Lu Li glanced at his right hand hanging in front of him, without holding it, and said calmly, "Hello, if there's nothing else, please step aside, thank you." After that, he led Alyssa towards the edge, trying to bypass the group of survivors. Song Siming looked embarrassed and hurriedly took half a step across to stop Lu Li. "Don't be afraid, my friend, we are not bad people. I'm not interested in making friends." Lu Li frowned slightly. Now he just wants to find a place to have a good sleep, regain his energy, and think about how to rescue Lin Chinyu. I really don't want to deal with survivors or anything like that. Probably feeling Lu Li's indifferent attitude, Song Siming put away the smile on his face and said expressionlessly, "If that's the case, then please hand over the supplies. This comprehensive shopping mall is our territory, and you have no right to take anything away from it." Lu Li was stunned and sneered. "The end of the world is coming and order has collapsed. Why do you say this is your territory?" Song Siming had a stick on his neck and looked fierce. "It's just these brothers behind me. If you are wise, please hand over the supplies." As soon as the words fell, the survivors took out their weapons. Some of them even showed off their talents and were full of murderous intent. "I don't want to cause trouble." Lu Li frowned and silently took half a step back. Alyssa seemed to feel something, and touched the space ring with her little hand. The little moves of the two men were all seen by the survivors, and some of them were impatient and even shouted at the top of their lungs, "Brother Ming, stop talking nonsense to them too and do it quickly. I see they have space rings on their hands, and they probably have a lot of good things on them. Everyone come together. Kill the men immediately, and rape the women first and then kill them. Hehehehe, this girl is still a cosplayer. She's such a good little slut. Let me be the first to her." Listening to the shouts of the crowd, Song Siming seemed to be convinced of Lu Li, and approached the two of them with a sinister smile. "It seems that trouble has come to you this time." Looking at the crowd that quickly gathered in front of him, Luli reached out and touched the space ring, preparing to call out the sword slave. The atmosphere is tense. However, at this moment, a crisp sound of bells suddenly reached everyone's ears. The sound is not loud, but it is very penetrating. Everyone was stunned and subconsciously looked in the direction of the sound. At the end of the street, 2 huge bundles appeared. To be precise, it was an elk carrying 2 huge bundles several times its own size. It turns out to be traveling merchant of all realms. Luli was startled and instantly recognized the elk, which was so skinny and disfigured. His eyes searched for the elk, and finally landed between the 2 bundles. There is a red figure there. Why is it a traveling merchant in red? Luli frowned, and for a moment he didn't know whether he should lament that he was too lucky, or that he was too lucky. Traveling merchant of all worlds, the only NPC character after the advent of the apocalyptic game, has 3 clothing colors, red, yellow and blue. Among them, the traveling merchant in blue is mild-mannered and timid. The traveling merchant in yellow is cunning and unpredictable. The traveling merchant in red has a violent personality and is fond of war. The time and place of appearance are completely random and there is no pattern to follow. The goods he carries are not fixed at all. It might be trash from the streets, or it might be rare and unusual props and equipment. Luli was lucky enough to meet the traveling merchant of all worlds once in his previous life. He was a timid traveling merchant in blue. It was that transaction that gave Luli great benefits, and he directly entered the top 10 in the global combat power list. Now that downstream merchants have reappeared, Luliden cannot let this trading opportunity pass him by. The only variable is that this time it is a traveling businessman in red. If a conflict breaks out between Luli and Song Siming and others at this moment, the war-loving and belligerent Yu Shang in red will definitely join the fight. When the time comes, let alone trading, having a whole body will be considered a high price. We need to stabilize these survivors first. Luli thought to himself, raised his hands above his head, and said with a dry smile. Ha ha ha, if you mess with me, you'll get a soft persimmon. Song Siming. Brothers, me to death. Ha. What did you say? Luli looked harmless. I say we surrender. All the black survivors had question mark faces. What's the situation? Surrender now. Are you so cowardly? Song Siming looked suspicious and tentatively said. Then you hand over all the supplies. Here you go. Luli took off the space ring without hesitation and handed it to Song Siming. Song Siming didn't expect that Luli would become so cooperative, so he didn't dare to pick up the call. We're going to play with your women too. The kind of thing you'd do in a queue. Someone among the survivors yelled. Let's play with you. Have fun. Luli turned to one side and pushed Alyssa forward. Poor Alyssa was confused. The master sold himself like this. The players in front of me are obviously very weak. Alyssa even felt that she had the strength to fight. Why did the master suddenly surrender? Are you tired? Master, why don't you just rest and let me deal with them? Alyssa turned back uncertainly. Unexpectedly, when Luli heard this, his head immediately shook like a rattle. No, 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 don't resist, don't conflict with them. Alyssa was confused. However, she soon noticed the way Luli glanced at the traveling merchant. Traveling merchant of all worlds. This mysterious NPC also appeared on planet Palu. Wait a minute, it's the belligerent traveling merchant in red. Alyssa instantly understood Luli's intention. She immediately became well-behaved and cooperated with Luli and said. Yes, I let you play and have fun. Please don't hurt my master. The survivors were stunned, especially the man who shouted to queue up to play. At this moment he just felt like he was dreaming. This reversal is so unreal. Seeing that everyone was frozen in place and the atmosphere was awkward, Luli had no choice but to lead the conversation. See that elk over there? Song Siming was startled for a moment, then immediately realized. I saw it. What kind of powerful monster is that? It's traveling merchant of all realms. Luli quickly explained. We can trade with him and obtain precious items. The probability of a traveling merchant appearing is very low. If you miss this time, you don't know when you will have to wait until next time. Precious props. Song Siming turned to look at the elk. Those 2 huge packages seemed to prove Luli's words, making him jealous. However, Song Siming didn't believe Lu Li easily, and he didn't have the nerve to send someone to contact him. After thinking for a while, he said, "Since you are a traveling merchant and can trade precious items, then you should go and trade first. If you dare to cheat, I will kill your little beauty with a knife." While speaking, Song Siming stretched out his arm and directly pulled Alyssa over. Lu Li readily agreed. He was really afraid that Song Siming would contact traveling merchants. That was a traveling businessman in red with a violent personality. If they offend the other party, their ashes will be raised. The elk noticed someone approaching, snorted and stopped. Before Lu Li could speak, the traveling merchant in red spoke first. "Rare treasures from all over the world, managed with integrity, fair prices, no bully. I wonder if this customer wants to buy or sell." Traveling merchant from all realms, a standard opening statement. Lu Li responded seasoned ly. "When I'm shopping, can I take a look at the goods first?" "Okay," the traveling merchant in red replied calmly. Then he turned over and jumped off the back of the elk. 2 huge bundles were opened at the same time and laid out on the ground, revealing the goods inside. Song Siming in the distance just glanced at it, and his heart began to beat violently. Various weapons and armor, Yuanjing medicinal materials, skill books, secret realm tickets. There's even a giant egg the size of a watermelon. Lu Li didn't lie. Travel merchants are full of good stuff. Song Siming, who was not far away, also saw it. "If I could buy all these good things, I would be the ceiling of Yangcheng's combat power. No, it may directly become the global combat power ceiling. I just don't know what the trading currency of Wanji traveling merchant is." While fantasizing in his heart, Song Siming continued to look down. Lu Li said a few words to Yusheng, then opened the chat interface and started operating. After a while, a large number of golden bricks appeared out of thin air and fell all over the ground. Trading in gold. Song Siming was stunned, but also a little confused. It stands to reason that now that the apocalypse has broken out, precious metals like gold should no longer be valuable. A bag of edible rice is more useful than a ton of metal lumps. But how could Lu Li still use gold to buy precious props? Could it be that gold has some unknown effect? But if there is no gold on hand, is it impossible to trade? The thoughts in his mind were cluttered, wearing down Song Siming's limited patience. Seeing that Lu Li's transaction with the traveling merchant went smoothly and there was no danger, Song Siming simply pushed Alyssa and led everyone towards the traveling merchant. He had a bold idea. An idea to get all the goods without paying gold. The traveling merchant in red saw someone approaching again and said in a calm tone, "Any customers who want to trade later, please wait a moment. The transactions will be done one by one." "Waiting for you, male Gobi." Song Siming drew his knife directly and yelled, "I'm here to rob you. Hand over everything." Traveling businessman in red. "Land from. Are you sure you want to rob me?" The traveling merchant in red raised his head and looked at Song Siming with a half smile. Looking at the ridiculous weapon in Song Siming's hand, Lu Li put one hand on his forehead and sighed. "If you don't seek death, you won't die." Song Siming didn't notice Lu Li's change at all, and just threatened him fiercely. "Stop talking nonsense and hand over everything now, you little dwarf." The traveling merchant is indeed short, less than 1 meter tall. It is precisely because of this that Song Siming feels that the other party is a soft persimmon with no fighting power and can be manipulated casually. "You said I'm short." The expression of the traveling merchant in red became increasingly weird, and he looked at Song Siming as if he were looking at a noisy monkey. Lu Li silently took 2 steps back. Coming soon. Although he had never seen the attack methods of traveling merchants in his previous life, he still learned about them through other channels. In addition to those various props, Yu Sheng also has a very buggy ability. Comparing it to a player, the talent of a traveling merchant is probably the space system. For a long time no one dared to say that I am short. Yu Sheng's tone was calm, as if he was reminiscing about something. He stroked it casually. Song Siming didn't even react, and his eyes suddenly dropped. The traveling merchant in red, who originally only needed to look down, suddenly reached the point where he needed to look up. Did the other person suddenly grow taller? Wrong. Lu Li is still taller than the traveling merchant in red. It's because of become shorter. Song Siming's eyes widened in horror, staring helplessly at his inexplicably missing lower body. Gone. Just this. Now, I'm taller than you. The travel merchant in red seemed very satisfied with Song Siming's reaction and smiled playfully. When the survivors saw that their boss was half dead, they immediately screamed and backed away, trying to escape. But it was too late. The traveling merchant in red stretched out his right hand and shook it lightly. The scattered survivors were immediately squeezed together and turned into flesh and blood in midair. He didn't even have time to scream. Instant kill. Lu Li chewed his teeth. How can this be bellicose? He is clearly bloodthirsty. Song Siming, Song Siming. You said it's not good for you to provoke anyone. But he decided to focus on this only NPC. Don't kill me. With only half of his body left, Song Siming squirmed on the ground and stammered for mercy. Don't worry, I won't kill you. You just said I was short. The crime will not lead to death. After saying that, the traveling merchant in red snapped his fingers. I'll take you to a good place. As soon as he finished speaking, the space in front of Yu Sheng shattered, like a huge mouth that opened rapidly. Song Siming and the mass of flesh and blood were thrown into the crack by the red-clothed traveling merchant like rubbish. The space is closed, as if nothing has happened. This is the strong one. Lu Li sighed silently in his heart. Just when he thought the transaction could continue, the traveling merchant in red looked at Alyssa with an evil look. Are you in the same group as them? No, she is with me, we don't know them at all. Lu Li rushed to explain. If the traveling merchant in red misunderstands, the fun will be great. Oh, it turns out we are not in the same group. The travel merchant nodded slightly, as if he wanted to turn over the matter. However, before Lu Li could breathe a sigh of relief, Yu Sheng suddenly asked. So, do you think I'm short? If you lie, you will die. Lu Li's heart suddenly sank to the bottom. Is the travel businessman short? At less than 1 meter, of course he is short. But if Lu Li told the truth, his life would definitely be at risk. But if you lie and say you are not short, that is undoubtedly flattering the horse's legs. The result is still death. No answer will work. A huge sense of oppression enveloped Lu Li, making him feel like a ray of light on his back. After thinking for a while, Lu Li took out something from the space ring and said. I don't think you're short. Oh, really? A cold light flashed in Yu Sheng's eyes, filled with murderous intent. Lu Li hurriedly added, because you can cut off the head of any tall person to cancel this gap. So you are not short at all. After saying that, Lu Li immediately handed the things in his hands to the traveling merchant. It's a small gift, please don't dislike it. Yu Sheng was startled, and most of the coldness in his eyes receded. Looking at the small gift Lu Li handed over, he burst into laughter. What a clever answer. Okay, I'll give you a 20% discount on all products today. I finally saved my life. Lu Li breathed a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, he was resourceful and bought the super lollipop that was the favorite of merchants from all over the world in the hub arena. Otherwise, today's hurdle may not be passable. The transaction continues. The currency used by Lu Li to purchase props came from the fine gold given by Dio. However, due to the limited fine gold reserves in the hub arena, it was not possible to exchange as much as 200,000 tons at a time. Therefore, Lu Li could only use 100,000 tons. It was not enough to buy all the goods. But now the travel merchant in red gave Lu Li a 20% discount on the entire deal. After a rough calculation, he could barely make it. I want all the goods in your bag, Lu Li said. Although the total price is a bit high, he also has super lollipops. It's not difficult to increase your favorability and get some discounts. In the end, Lu Li exchanged all the goods of the traveling merchant in red for 100,000 tons of fine gold and 10 super lollipops. I never expected that on my first business trip to this planet, I would meet such a cheerful customer like you. The traveling merchant in red was packing his bags with a smile and seemed to be in a very good mood. Lu Li struck while the railroad was hot. I am also very satisfied with this transaction, but I don't know if there will be another chance to meet in the future. Yu Sheng glanced at Lu Li meaningfully and said with a hint of joking. We will meet if we are destined. Lu Li nodded noncommittally and said casually, seemingly unintentionally. If we meet next time, I will definitely bring more super lollipops. The travel merchant in red made a move in his hand, and the teasing in his eyes quickly turned into expectation. Wait a minute, can you still get this kind of dessert? Of course, Lu Li said confidently, it's just that the ingredients for this dessert are precious and I have to work hard to get them. Okay, as long as you can still get it. The traveling merchant in red was overjoyed. But soon, his expression became tangled again. After hesitating for a long time, he finally took out a palm-sized conch from his pocket. You take this. Once you have the super lollipop, blow it and I'll be right there. Lu Li took it and took a look, and found that this inconspicuous conch was actually the only prop of mythical quality. Prop name: Magical Conch. Quality: Myth only. Function description: Wind instrument, the sound resounds throughout the world. Note: don't brag and disturb people. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Lu Li asked. So if I want to buy or sell something, can I blow it too? If it's a big deal like today, you can brag about it. The traveling merchant seemed a little reluctant and added. Of course, it's best to blow it after you get the lollipop. After all, my business is very busy and I have to travel to many places. Okay, I understand. Lu Li raised his eyebrows and put the conch away properly. I thought the traveling merchant in red was going to say goodbye. Unexpectedly, he lay on the elk and groped around again, and then pulled out a large black iron pot from nowhere. This is. Lu Li looked at the iron pot the size of a millstone in front of him, a little confused. It's just a pot. Yu Sheng patted the pot ashes on his hand, and then pulled out a huge spatula from his clothes. Didn't you wrap up my product? There is a pair of body-strengthening herbs in it. If you use it with this pot and this spatula, the effect will be better. Lu Li raised his eyebrows. Oh, I understand. It's a pot for medicinal baths. No. The traveling merchant scrambled onto the deer's back and said. Read the instructions carefully and don't waste that set of medicinal materials. I collected them for a long time and I'm really reluctant to sell them to you. Lu Li was overjoyed, knowing that the increase in favorability was at work, and quickly nodded in thanks. Thank you for reminding. After watching the red-clothed traveling merchant break through the void and leave, Lu Li took Alyssa to find a nearby hotel. Sweet Honey Couple Hotel. Alyssa slowly read out the big characters on the signboard, her face turned red. The owner really said he didn't want it, but his body was very honest. But Alyssa didn't feel scared or resisted by this. On the contrary, she also felt joyful at finally being accepted. Only, it was Alyssa's first time to experience that kind of thing, and she didn't know if it would satisfy Master Lu Li. Lu Li never expected that Alyssa would have so many inner dramas. Now, all he can think about is going to bed quickly. Seriously. This is the nearest hotel. Let's take a rest first. Well, listen to the master. Alyssa nodded obediently, completely ready to sacrifice herself. The two entered the hotel side by side. Little did they know that this scene happened to be caught by a passing survivor. It was different from the ragtag group Lu Li had encountered before. The pair of survivors, made up almost entirely of women, were each well armed. Although the leading woman was not armed with strength, she had a capable aura all over her body. And it's not just that. There were also 3 classmates in the crowd whom Lu Li was very familiar with. Wang Chao, Ma Han, and Xu Xiao wrapped in thick blankets. Fat man, I have bad eyesight. Please help me see if there is Lu Li among the 2 people just now. Ma Han winked and poked Wang Chao next to him. It looks like it, but didn't Lu Li go away with that rich woman named Lin Chenfeng? How could he be here? Wang Chao scratched his head. Maybe they look alike. Seeing that Wang Chao didn't understand what he meant, Ma Han reached out and poked him again. Xu Xiao bit her lip tightly and remained silent without joining the conversation between the two. On the contrary, when the leading woman heard this, she turned her head curiously and asked. Do you know those 2 people? It's too far to see clearly. Wang Chao and Ma Han quickly glanced at Xu Xiao, and then said in unison. The leading woman narrowed her eyes and looked at Xu Xiao. Xiao Shu, do you know those 2 people? Are they your friends? Xu Xiao bit her lips tighter, and after a moment of silence, she shook her head. Sister Wu, I didn't see clearly either. It should be a stranger who looks similar. So I don't know you. The leading woman, known as Sister Wu, nodded. As if she understood something, she rushed behind her and said. I plan to find out the details of those 2 survivors. A reminder immediately came from the crowd. Sister Wu, this is Song Siming's territory. It's not appropriate to stay for a long time. Before the man could finish speaking, someone immediately interrupted. What are you afraid of? There are so many of us, and why are we worried that scumbag Song Siming will cause trouble for us? I think that boy took the girl to a love hotel. It doesn't look like a good thing. Could it be that she belongs to Song Siming? Isn't it better to go up and ask? Maybe we can save that woman's life. You're still asking? That sister must have been forced. Didn't you see her face turned red? If you ask me, just go and kill that man. But if he kills people on Song Siming's territory, what should we do if he wants to cause trouble for us? What are you afraid of? Our next stop is the shelter in the center of Yangcheng. By the time Song Siming reacts, we will be nowhere to be found. The women were chattering and chattering. As he spoke, Lu Li was sentenced to death. Sister Wu raised her hand to signal everyone to be quiet. Just to find out the details. If that man is really not a good person, I will bring the girl back. With just one sentence, everyone's opinions were completely unified. Ma Han came forward with a smile. Sister Wu, it's too dangerous for you to go alone. Fatty and I will accompany you. Wang Chao had a question mark on his head. Should I go too? Well, Xiao Shu will go too. Sister Wu nodded and glanced at Xu Xiao meaningfully. Xu Xiao opened his mouth to say something, but finally swallowed it back. The four-person team set off immediately and quietly entered the Sweet Love Hotel. It's a coincidence. Wu Siwan, also known as Sister Wu among everyone. The innate ability is platinum level tracking. This is a perception system, talent that is very suitable for finding people. As long as Wu Siwan imagines the goal she needs to find in her mind, her talent will give her guidance and indicate the general direction for her. It is precisely because of this that Ma Han and others chose to join Wu Siwan's team. After all, their primary goal is to reunite with their families. The whole hotel was empty. So Wu Siwan found the room where Lu Li was with almost no effort. After stopping for a moment, she planned to knock on the door directly. However, before her hand could reach the door, there was a sudden sound from inside, interrupting her movements. Girl, does it have to be now? Can't we wait any longer? Man, no, you can wait, but it can't wait. Take off your clothes quickly, it will be too late. Wu Siwan frowned slightly, thinking that there was indeed something wrong. She immediately clenched her outstretched hand into a fist and planned to bang the door directly. But Xu Xiao, who was silent on the side, suddenly reached out and grabbed Wu Siwan's sleeve. She bit her lip, her red eyes filled with mist. Forget it, Sister Wu, let's go. Leave. Wu Siwan realized something and said with some distress. We haven't found out the man's identity yet, so why go away? I know them, Xu Xiao replied with his eyes closed, tears rolling down his face. That man is not a bad person. Let's not disturb them. Let's go. Hearing what Xu Xiao said, Wang Chao glared at Ma Han fiercely. Seemingly feeling annoyed, he reached out and pinched the soft flesh around the other party's waist. Ma Han was in pain and couldn't scream out, so he could only hold back and shrink his neck, his face full of guilt for having done bad things with good intentions. You really don't want to go in? Wu Siwan confirmed and listened attentively. The man inside seemed very anxious and kept urging the girl to take off her clothes. At the same time, there were constant clanging sounds of clanging bells. It feels like playing wildly. Not going in. Xu Xiao turned around and left, as if he had made some kind of determination. It's getting late, let's hurry up and head to the shelter. The hotel room was a mess. All the decorations were destroyed, and there were cracks on several walls after the impact. There were all kinds of debris scattered on the bed and the floor. The whole room seemed to have been rifled through 3 times by 100 thieves. Lu Li and Alyssa hugged each other tightly. They were panting like cows and their faces were red. Did you catch it, Alyssa? Lu Li grinned and asked, breathing heavily. His nose was bleeding and he looked very miserable. Caught the master, it's so big and powerful. Alyssa replied with a red face, her whole body dripping with fragrant sweat. Okay, as long as you can catch it, I'll get the condom first. Lu Li was about to let go of the girl, but was grabbed by Alyssa. Wait a minute, master, it started to move again. How about I take off my clothes first? After stabilizing it, you can prepare the condom. Lu Li looked troubled. Then take off your clothes quickly. I'm about to die. Alyssa nodded repeatedly, let go of Lu Li, and hurriedly took off her clothes. Do I have to take off my obscene clothes too? It will definitely get dirty after a while, so why not just take it off? Lu Li looked anxious. Okay, then I will take off all my clothes. Alyssa took off all her clothes regardless of shame. The moment her clothes were completely taken off, Lu Li suddenly relaxed as if he had been saved. A giant egg glowing with golden light flew out from under him and quickly got into Alyssa's arms. Finally stabilized. Why is this happening now? It all started when Lu Li used 100,000 tons of fine gold to wrap up the traveling merchant's goods. Although the goods of the traveling merchant in red were all good, the most expensive ones were the body-strengthening medicinal materials and the giant egg the size of a watermelon. Adding these two items together, after the 20% discount, still consumes nearly 80,000 tons of fine gold. Lu Li's focus at that time was entirely on improving the favorability of Wanji Travel Merchant. I didn't check it carefully after the deal was concluded. It wasn't until I entered the hotel room that I thought about taking out my things and taking a look. In the end, it's better not to watch it. At first glance, Lu Li's jaw almost dropped. The watermelon-sized giant egg sold by the red-clothed travel merchant turned out to be a dragon egg. And I don't know why. This dragon egg has entered the incubation period and has a certain degree of self-awareness. When Lu Li took it out of the space ring, the dragon egg suddenly broke free of its protective cover and hit Lu Li hard in the face. Even though Lu Li has reached level 15, his physical attributes in all 4 dimensions are above 15 points. But the collision of the dragon egg still taught him a lesson. The pain in his nose caused Lu Li to lose strength immediately. Moreover, this round thing is not only extremely powerful, but also extremely slippery. Lu Li and Alyssa tried their best but couldn't catch it again. Seeing that dragon egg was about to rush out of the room and escape outside, Lu Li suddenly thought of a way to attract dragon egg. Seductive. After all, dragon nature is inherently kinky. In the spirit of giving it a try, there was a scene where Alyssa took off her clothes and sacrificed her appearance. Fortunately, the method works. At this moment, the dragon egg is pressed tightly against Alyssa, like a puppy in its budding youth. Alyssa, please hold on. Lu Li casually wiped the nosebleed from his face, picked up the protective cover on the ground, and planned to put it back on the dragon egg. Unfortunately, however, because the dragon egg has entered the incubation period, the protective cover has completely lost its restrictive effect. A short sentence appeared above, which made Lu Li frown. After the dragon eggs enter the incubation period, they must be fed on time, otherwise the hatching will fail. This dragon egg has no mouth. How to feed it? Is it possible to absorb Yuan Jing? Thinking of this, Lu Li took out a 6th-order elemental crystal and placed it on the surface of the dragon egg. But except for the soft sound of Yuan Jing hitting the eggshell, nothing changed. Immediately afterwards, Lu Li took out various foods and tried them one by one on the surface of the dragon egg. Still nothing changed. Seeing Lu Li's expression becoming more and more serious, Alyssa couldn't help but remind her. Master, it has no mouth, so it shouldn't be able to eat. Lu Li nodded, but the protective cover clearly states that after the dragon egg enters the incubation period, it must be fed on time. Do you want blood feeding? As soon as the idea came to his mind, Lu Li immediately took out the tooth and made a small incision on his arm. However, when the blood was poured on the dragon egg, instead of being absorbed, it became restless again. It seems very disgusting. Master, it may not want blood. Alyssa exclaimed, and spent a lot of effort to calm the dragon egg again. Lu Li was completely at a loss and sat down on the ground. Don't eat anything, or you'll feed it to the worms. Try medicinal herbs, Alyssa suggested softly. On Palu, I once saw stone-skin people using medicinal baths to hatch beast eggs. Medicated bath, hey, you can try it. Lu Li looked happy and took out the medicinal materials from the space ring. The light medicinal fragrance suddenly filled the whole room, making Lu Li and Alyssa feel refreshed. What a rare good thing. Dragon egg also sensed it, twisted out of Alyssa's arms, and quickly leaned towards the medicinal materials. Seeing that it really worked, Lu Li did not hesitate and continued to take out the iron pot and shovel from the space ring to prepare the medicinal bath. But soon, he paused again. because Lu Li saw the instructions for using the medicinal materials. The first line of big characters is, "This auxiliary medicinal material has special properties and loses all its efficacy when exposed to water. It is recommended to stir-fry it." Stir-fried. Lu Li was stunned. Even in his 2 lifetimes, he has never seen such a weird way of using medicine. When the medicinal materials are stir-fried, does the strengthened target also need to be stir-fried? No wonder the traveling merchant left behind an iron pot and spatula before leaving. Is this a frying pan? What's wrong, Master? There are restrictions on the use of medicinal materials. Alyssa came closer curiously, and after reading the instructions clearly, she and Lu Li stayed together. Strengthened medicinal materials that need to be stir-fried to exert their medicinal properties. The world is so big and full of wonders. Master, do you need me to find some firewood first? Alyssa asked softly. No need. Lu Li turned his palms with a strange expression and activated his natural ability. Bronze quality, ignition, ignite. Ignite the elemental crystal and make it burn continuously and violently until it turns into ashes. This was a talent that Lu Li unexpectedly acquired when he touched corpses in Tianyi Square. I thought it was a completely useless ability, but I didn't expect it to come in handy here. Once the 6th order elemental crystal is ignited, a dazzling blue flame will rise, and the temperature will be extremely high. The iron pan was soon boiling hot. Throw the eggs in, Lu Li said to Alyssa while adding medicinal ingredients into the pot according to the instructions. Alyssa nodded and planned to put the eggs into the pot. But the dragon egg seemed to be stuck to her body and she couldn't get it off no matter what. No, Master, it won't go in. Looking at the medicinal materials in the pot that were almost overheated, Alyssa was so anxious that she almost cried. She knew how precious this medicinal material was. If it is wasted, it will be a huge loss for Master Lu Li. How about I hold the dragon egg and let's get into the pot together? Chapter 64. You sure? Lu Li glanced at the red-hot iron pot and frowned. Although you won't die, the process will definitely be very painful, no less than being burned. Come on. Alyssa stepped into the pot without hesitation with firm eyes. The delicate flesh made a sizzling sound when it came into contact with the hot metal. Alyssa gritted her teeth and only let out a muffled groan. Extreme healing, activate. While Lu Li was treating Alyssa, he quickly put in the medicinal ingredients. All the medicinal ingredients were put into the pot, and it started to make a crackling sound. Catalyzed by the high temperature, the whole room was filled with a strong medicinal aroma. Alyssa took a deep breath and lay down into the pot holding the dragon egg. Lu Li picked up the spatula and added all the strength system talents to himself. The stir-fry begins. Lu Li vigorously swung the shovel and stir-fried the medicinal ingredients with Alyssa. The aroma of medicine and meat mixed together and filled the air. Alyssa's body was injured all the time and healed anytime and anywhere. The high temperature activates the medicinal materials, and the medicinal power begins to penetrate. The dragon egg emits golden light in Alyssa's arms, like a dazzling gem. It works. Lu Li was overjoyed and moved his hands more vigorously. I don't know how many times I stir-fried it. Lu Li didn't stop until all the medicinal materials in the pot were reduced to ashes. Maybe it's because of being too tired. Alyssa, who fainted, did not wake up immediately, but fell into a deep sleep. Lu Li carefully took Alyssa out of the pot and gently placed her on the bed. The dragon egg no longer ran rampant at this moment. After taking in the medicine, he huddled in Alyssa's arms very quietly. The golden light on its surface faded away, as if it had fallen asleep like the Palu girl. I'll take the time to take a rest. Putting back the pot and spatula, Lu Li sat on the sofa and called out the soul guards Chen Hao and Xing Anlin. Although Lu Li would not sleep to death, vigilance was still necessary. Chen Hao, who was a thug during his lifetime, was very familiar with the matter of sentry. Lu Li didn't need to say anything, he just looked for a warning position. Xing Anlin, on the other hand, glanced at Alyssa with a smirk, then looked at Lu Li with a hee-hee. Isn't it a great time to fry? That's cool for you, hurry up and go stand guard. Lu Li rolled his eyes tiredly. Wake me up in 4 hours. At the same time, the Lin family mansion. After rejecting the 2 sisters, Lin Qinfeng came to the basement alone. There was a chill in the air. Looking at the familiar figure in the crystal coffin in front of him, Lin Qinfeng murmured. Dad, if you were still alive, maybe Chinyu would be fine. Did I do a particularly bad job? Without Lu Li, at the beginning of recovery, the Lin family would be gone. In order to save my third sister's life, everyone in the Lin family became slaves. Dad, did I do something wrong? When you were here, the Lin family never bowed to anyone but I. Dad, being the head of the family is really tiring. This burden is so heavy that I really can't carry it anymore. As he spoke, Lin Qinfeng left 2 lines of tears on his face. As the leader of the Lin family, it was only at this time that she could release the weakness in her heart. Lin Qinfeng knelt in front of the crystal coffin and sobbed for a long time, like a little girl who couldn't find support. At this moment, news came from the data panel. It was from Lin Qinhua. Sister, we received a slave contract from the Qian family. Do you want to come over and take a look? I'll be right away. Lin Qinfeng wiped away the tears on his face, quickly regained his composure, and returned to his usual trustworthy self. She looked at the crystal coffin again, at the kind face inside. Dad, don't worry, I will definitely rescue Qinyu and let the sisters live well. The Zhao family will pay the price. The Lin family will not perish. The other end, Yucheng, Qian's family. Qian Tongda took a sip of the fragrant tea. As the elegant tea fragrance filled his lips and teeth, the tea slowly entered his throat, and a smile gradually appeared on Qian Tongda's face. Second uncle, do you have any new arrangements? A 15-year-old boy sat opposite Qian Tongda, cracking melon seeds and saying in confusion. Next step, do you plan to cooperate with the Lin family and fall out with the Zhao family? Qian Tongda smiled and shook his head. No, the Zhao family is very powerful and has a complicated network of connections. Why should we, a small Qian family, make things difficult for ourselves? Then we give the Lin family a slave contract. The young man looked more and more confused. The Zhao family is suppressing the Lin family openly and secretly. Even a 15-year-old kid like me can see it. If we get involved, aren't we becoming enemies of the Zhao family? Qian Tongda seemed to be amused by the teenager's words. He laughed and said, Look, you will be 16 soon, and you are not a child. The Zhao family is right to suppress the Lin family openly and secretly, but the Lin family has not been destroyed yet. What does my second uncle teach you on a daily basis? Leave 3 points in your work and 1 line in your life. We gave the Lin family a slave contract, and we just kept these 3 points. But won't the Zhao family cause trouble for us? A young man named Qian Tongxi asked, spitting out melon seed shells. Perhaps because he felt a little tired of cracking melon seeds, he simply brought the tea in front of Qian Tongda and stuffed it into his stomach. Hey, you little, this is the best de Hongpao, but I can't be as awesome as you. Qian Tongda's face was full of pain. But seeing that the teacup had reached the bottom, he could only sigh. Our Qian family is just doing business, and the Zhao family doesn't dare to do anything to us. Besides, that old guy Zhao Quan also takes advantage of us. Understood, we are just wallflowers. The young man threw the melon seeds in his hand on the table, stood up and patted his butt. What a loser. We are a business family. Do you understand that doing business is not about fighting and killing. Doing business requires a person's worldliness. By the way, where are you going? Kill the monsters and find the entrance to the secret realm. Just let the people below do that. Why don't you learn business from your second uncle? I will learn after I become the head of the family. 3.5 hours later. Lu Li was woken up by a notification sound. Opening the data panel, I found a message from Lin Qinfeng, concerned about whether Lu Li could eliminate the demon erosion. Yes, I still have negative effects on my body. Lu Li was startled and checked his personal attributes. What surprised him was that devil chi corrosion has actually disappeared, and there are 2 more positive effects in the status bar. Immunity to demonic chi. Duration, 20 hours. Copper skin and iron bone. Duration, 20 hours. It must be because of the stir-fried medicinal materials. I didn't expect that the medicinal materials from Yusheng can also purify the erosion of evil spirits. Just smelling the fragrance of the medicine has such a magical effect. I wonder how much benefit Alyssa will get from being fried together with the dragon egg. Get up. Lu Li stepped forward and patted the Parlu girl on the shoulder. Alyssa gave a long yawn, and then stretched like a kitten. The quilt slipped off, and the girl's graceful body curves were carved into Lu Li's eyes like a blasphemous painting. "Oh, I really didn't expect that this medicine can make you grow again." Lu Li raised the corner of his mouth and sighed half jokingly and half seriously. Ha! After coming back to her senses, Alyssa immediately realized her embarrassing situation and quickly picked up the dragon egg to cover her chest, her face as red as a ripe apple. "Put on your clothes and send me your personal attributes." Lu Li threw the clothes to Alyssa and turned his back with a smile. Good master." Alyssa hurriedly put on the obscene clothes. Lu Li stood beside the bed and carefully checked Alyssa's personal attributes. Alyssa Bucky. Level: LV.9. Strength: 9.2. Physique: 33.6. Speed: 9.1. Spirit: 24.9. Innate ability: Goddess of Luck's favor, diamond, awaiting opportunity for advancement. Lu Li took a deep breath. Physical 33.6, mental 24.9. You know, Alyssa's level is only level 9. Even if there are free attribute points allocated to these two attributes, it will only be 9 points to survive. Just a simple stir-fry brought Alyssa a full 30 points of attribute improvement. And it is based on the fact that most of the medicinal power is absorbed by the dragon egg. If all these medicinal powers were absorbed by one person, the increase in attribute points would probably triple. Not only that, Alyssa's natural ability also changed unexpectedly. Although there is no direct advancement, only the words, "waiting for the opportunity to advance," appear. But after resurrecting his life, Lu Li understood what these 6 words meant. This means that Alyssa's talent has already half-stepped into the advancement threshold. As long as she doesn't die, her luck will not decline to the extreme. It will definitely improve your talent level. The diamond level can indeed be promoted. Could it be that after promotion, like my soul swallowing, there is no grade-rated talent? Lu Li murmured to himself, suddenly feeling a joyful ache in his heart. Naturally, I am happy that I did not lose money on the medicinal materials this time. It not only adds attributes but also improves the talent level. Big prices bring big rewards. What hurts most is that it's not him who is being fired this time. However, Lu Li felt relieved again when he thought that he still had the magical conch in his hand that could summon traveling merchants at any time. At worst, I'll ask a travel dealer to buy it next time. Moreover, Alyssa has signed a slave contract and will never be able to betray herself. In a certain sense, he can be regarded as one of his own. Since you are one of your own, it is worthwhile to take some good medicine. Master, I'm dressed. Alyssa's voice came from behind. Even the voice is a lot warmer. Very nice. Lu Li smiled and slowly turned his head. As a result, Alyssa was almost so shocked that she vomited a mouthful of blood. This little girl is not wearing the same clothes as before. Except for that set of defensive light armor, which is so economical that it can only cover key parts. The girl only wore a white gauze as thin as cicada wings. Not only does it not have any function of covering the body, it actually makes those alluring scenery even more tempting. I don't look good in my clothes, master. Seeing Lu Li's strange expression, Alyssa asked a little unconfidently. Good looking. Lu Li sniffed hard. But don't you feel cold wearing this? It's not cold. I feel warm all over my body now. Alyssa was obviously happier when she heard Lu Li confirming her. She couldn't help but take 2 steps forward and press her body close to Lu Lidao. If you don't believe me, master, just touch it. Touch. Looking at the white gauze skirt in front of him, Lu Li felt his head feel dizzy. Still haven't had a good rest. Why don't you take a nap? Lu Li made a difficult decision. But in the end, he sent a reply to Lin Qinfang and asked the other party to pick him up. After all, the priority now is to improve your strength. Moreover, Lu Li also needed help from the Lin family to collect gold. The intrigue between Zhao Jin and the Sakura people also needs to be revealed. Lin Qinyu must be saved. After taking back the soul guards Chen Hao and Xing Anlin, Lu Li asked Alyssa to put on another piece of clothing. Although it cannot change the overall style, it can have a somewhat concealing effect. Otherwise, Lu Li was really afraid that he wouldn't be able to control it. Not long after, Lin Qinfang drove to pick him up in person. Except for the strange expression on his face when he saw Alyssa, there was nothing wrong with the head of the Lin family. properly, as if he had signed a slave contract with Lu Li. 2 servants and 1 master, no one spoke. The atmosphere in the car seemed awkward. Lu Li wanted to ease the embarrassment and said, Lin Qinfeng, don't worry about your sister. I will definitely try my best to rescue her. Lin Qinfeng nodded vigorously with gratitude on his face. The atmosphere seemed to become more awkward. Lu Li had no choice but to continue looking for topics. I heard from Zhao Jin before that your father seemed to have been poisoned to death by him. Can you please elaborate? In fact, Lu Li was more curious about the relationship between Lin Qinzu and Lord Frost. But there are no relevant topics at the moment. Moreover, everything was just Lu Li's inference, and it was not easy for him to ask directly. After all, rebirth is a top secret and cannot be disclosed to Lin Qinfeng for the time being. So I can only make some insinuations and ask for other information about the Lin family. Hearing Lu Li's question, Lin Qinfeng's fingers holding the steering wheel turned pale. She gritted her teeth and slowly told some little-known stories. The Lin family is a family of swordsmen, and my father is the strongest swordsman in the Lin family. Although the Lin family is not big and cannot compare with other families in terms of financial resources and connections, the Lin family's swordsmanship is still ranked among the best in China. It is precisely because of this that the Lin family can establish itself among the 8 human-level families. Is this a human-level family? Lu Li frowned and whispered to himself. No wonder I didn't see any trace of the Lin family in my previous life. No wonder the Zhao family could easily destroy the Lin family. It turns out that this family is too small. It is really difficult to support an entire family just by relying on swordsmanship. Lu Li's whisper naturally fell into Lin Qinfeng's ears. The woman's pupils trembled hugely, and her face showed such an expression. But this expression only lasted for a moment. Soon, Lin Qinfeng pretended not to hear and continued. Just a year ago, our Lin family was invited to participate in the Sakura Kingdom's swordsmanship exchange competition. It was originally agreed that it was just a swordsmanship competition, that's all. But in that competition, the Sakura people repeatedly used dirty tricks and injured many children of the Lin family. Then he was extremely provocative, saying that our Lin family's swordsmanship was actually learned from Fuzang, and asked my father to bow down and worship the master as a disciple of their Sakura swordsmanship. My father has been proud all his life, and there is no way he would be insulted like this. He will even challenge him to compete with the strongest Sakura swordsman. Hearing this, Lu Li raised his eyebrows. And your dad lost. Those little Sakuras are so good at swordsmanship. Lin Qinfeng shook his head, his eyes full of unwillingness. If you lose, then your skills are inferior to others, and I have nothing to say. But my father, he won. Won. Lu Li was quite surprised. Then why is it still like this? They are cheating. Lin Qinfeng gritted his teeth and said. Rokuro Ishii, who is said to be the strongest swordsman in Sakura, has long known that he cannot compare with my father. So during the competition, he had no intention of winning. Instead, he tried his best to stab my father. Afterwards, he acted rogue and refused to admit that his father's swordsmanship was superior to Sakura's. My father was so angry that he vomited blood on the spot and became ill after returning home. At that time, we didn't know that Sakura man's sword was poisonous, and the wounds on my father's body healed normally, so we just thought that my father fell ill because he was so angry. If Zhao Jin hadn't told the truth today, we sisters would probably have been kept in the dark. Speaking of this, Lin Qinfeng smiled self-deprecatingly. Looking back now, all the previous details have revealed that the Zhao family has long been colluding with Sakura. What a bullshit swordsmanship exchange conference, it's just a trap specially set up to deal with my father. If I hadn't been so stupid and discovered the truth about the poisoning earlier, my father would not have died. That's it. Lu Li reached out and rubbed his chin, comforting him. I can't blame you. The Zhao family and Yinghua are determined to trick your father. The poison they use must be carefully selected and concealed, so that it won't be easily seen. Lin Qinfeng smiled bitterly and remained silent. The rest of the drive was filled with the low roar of the engine. The Lin family's mansion is located in the north of Yangcheng. It is small and has simple decoration. Lu Li and Alyssa followed Lin Qinfeng inside, planning to discuss with Lin Qinhua and Lin Qinzu how to rescue the eldest lady of the Lin family who would only be a hindrance. However, As soon as he stepped into the Lin family's mansion, Lu Li was keenly aware of something. He paused, his eyes moved involuntarily to the southwest corner, and his brows furrowed slightly. This feeling feels so familiar. Lin Qinfeng noticed that Lu Li had not followed, so he turned around and said in confusion. Mr. Lu, what's wrong? Lu Li didn't hide anything, he raised his hand and pointed into the distance. What is that place? Lin Qinfeng looked in the direction of Lu Li's finger, and her heart skipped a beat. She said in a sad tone. That's where my father is buried. Lu Li raised his eyebrows, his eyes filled with surprise. Take me to see it quickly. Quote. Ah, Lin Qinfeng and Alyssa were stunned at the same time. What's going on? Didn't Lu Li come to discuss the rescue plan? Why are you still interested in the dead Lin Tianxia? Mr. Lu asked about his father's deeds when he came here. Could it be that a hero cherishes a hero and wants to pay homage to him? Lin Qinfeng quickly thought about it, and his evaluation of Lu Li rose to a higher level. She said respectfully, Mr. Lu, the Lin family understands your wishes. But now is it time to discuss Qin Yu's matter first. As an eldest sister, there is no reason not to worry about your little sister. Lin Qinfeng was not in a hurry on the surface, but that was because the other party was Lu Li. If it were anyone else who made such a request, she would have been kicked out of the Lin family long ago. However, not only did Lu Li not change his words, but he said even more anxiously. Don't worry, your sister won't die for a while. On the other hand, your father will really die if you don't save her. Quote. Ah, Lin Qinfeng and Alyssa were stunned again. Lu Li didn't wait for the two of them to react, he directly took Lin Qinfeng's hand and walked towards the southwest corner of Lin's mansion. Why are you standing there? Take me there quickly. Good. Under the leadership of Lin Qinfeng, Lu Li quickly arrived in front of the crystal coffin. Then, under the shocked eyes of the two women, Lu Li strode forward and lifted the lid of the crystal coffin, revealing the body inside. Mr. Lu, you! Lin Qinfeng screamed and wanted to stop her, but found that Lu Li had already taken one step ahead of her and pulled off Lin Tianji's collar. Sure enough, it smells like soul-inducing grass. What? Lin Qinfeng didn't even have time to digest this unfamiliar term. The next second, Lu Li took out a boning knife out of thin air. PFF'd. The palm-length blade instantly penetrated Lin Tianji's chest. Lin Qinfeng was so shocked that she covered her mouth. Alyssa's eyes also widened. Is Lu Li crazy? What on earth is he doing? I saw the boning knife rotating rapidly, as if it was cutting something. After a while, Lu Li thrust out his left hand and grabbed something dark from the wound. It seemed like a living mass of hair. It was still twisting in Lu Li's hands, making people's hair stand on end. Get it done. Ask Lin Qinhua to come over and treat your father. I have to concentrate on dealing with this thing. Quote. Ah, Lin Qinfeng was stunned for the third time. Fortunately, Alyssa reminded her in time this time, so she immediately called Lin Qinhua. What happened to eldest sister? Ah. As soon as Lin Qinhua entered the room, before she could finish her words, she was frightened by the scene in front of her. The crystal coffin was opened in all directions, and a big hole was opened in the father's body. Lu Li in the corner was holding a bloody boning knife, with a huge black pot pressed under his butt. At this moment, there was a constant buzzing sound in the pot. What the hell is going on with this? Are you crazy? Second sister, treat father quickly. Before Lin Qinhua's mind could react to what happened, Lin Qinfeng's urging came over. Treat father. Did the eldest sister finally go crazy due to excessive grief? Sister, my father is dead, you have to cheer up. Lin Qinhua's face showed grief and she was about to cry. Cheer up, treat him quickly, it's too late. Lin Qinfeng said loudly, the eagerness on his face was extremely real. The eldest sister seems not crazy. Although Lin Qinhua didn't understand, she still activated her natural ability on Lin Tianxia. As the light faded, the injury on Lin Tianji's chest healed slowly. After a while, cough. The dead Lin Tianxia suddenly tilted his head and coughed up a lot of dirty blood. So alive. Lin Qinhua was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped to the ground. Isn't my talent group healing? When did the resurrection function become available? Why am I here? It's so cold. Lin Tianxia struggled to sit up from the coffin and said confusedly. Dad! Lin Qinfeng cried with joy and hugged Lin Tianxia. Lin Qinzu also arrived at this moment. Looking at her father sitting up from the coffin, her frosty face showed an expression of surprise for the first time. Second sister, you saved father. Huh, I don't know. Lin Qinhua was still confused. When she first awakened her talent, she launched group healing on the dead Lin Tianxia more than once. Not once did it work. But how did it succeed this time? Just when Lin Qinzu wanted to ask her eldest sister for clarification, a clanging sound suddenly became loud in the corner. Lu Li, who was sitting on the pot, suddenly changed his expression and said in shock. Get out quickly, I won't be able to hold you back anymore. Lu Li had thought that the soul-attracting grass that was about to mature would be more difficult to deal with. But he didn't expect this thing to be so difficult to deal with. MD, you were careless again. The moment Lin Qinfeng and others retreated outside, a violent explosion seemed to occur inside the house. Boom! Wow! Lu Li and the black pot under his butt smashed through the wall and flew out. Alyssa hurriedly stepped forward, lifted the blame on Lu Li, and said with concern. Master, are you okay? It's okay, my butt just hurts a little. Lu Li gritted his teeth and got up from the ground, looking slightly embarrassed. Go beyond, give me the full amount of luck, I'm going to be serious. Ah, Alyssa watched Lu Li rush into the wall with a confused look on her face, and then belatedly activated her talent. The blessing of the goddess of luck. No one knows what happened inside the house. After a burst of banging and banging, a ragged Lu Li walked out of the room. Crisis resolved. Okay, it's really done this time. Lu Li exhaled half a puff of black smoke. Although the process was a bit embarrassing, the results were still very good. The seeds of soul-inducing grass are excellent medicinal materials for increasing spiritual properties. In his previous life, if Lu Li wanted to obtain this medicinal material, he had to enter the demon eye to search for it. Although Lu Li, who has a powerful soul, can easily smell the scent of soul-attracting grass. But entering the magic eye is a dangerous thing after all. This shows how valuable the soul-inducing grass is. I didn't expect that in this life, I would get it just by saving an old man. Lu Li put a seed the size of a fingernail into the space ring and was satisfied. Next, we can discuss the rescue plan. Just when Lu Li was thinking this, Lin Qinfeng suddenly stepped forward and knelt down with a plop. Mr. Lu, I, Lin Qinfeng, will never forget your great kindness today. Before Lu Li could say anything, Lin Qinfeng said to his second sister. Qinhua, give me the slave contract. Sister. Lin Qinhua had just felt the joy of the resurrection of her loved ones, but in the blink of an eye, Lin Qinfeng pulled her back to the worry of losing her sister. After signing the contract, you will be a slave forever. Lin Qinfeng's eyes were firm. Mr. Lu has been very kind to us. The entire Lin family has already regarded him as their master. I signed the contract, it was just a matter of my duty. Lu Li finally reacted at this moment. What's the situation? Why did Lin Qinfeng suddenly want to sign a slave contract with him? Didn't he just save a dad? Is this woman so honest? The rhythm of directly committing yourself to each other. Actually, it's okay not to sign. As long as your Lin family completes the tasks assigned by me on time and we maintain a good cooperative relationship. Because he was betrayed in his previous life, it was difficult for Lu Li to trust others easily. Just like the Lin family. Although Lu Li has always regarded the Lin family as a mutually beneficial partner, the tasks assigned to the Lin family are actually insignificant. Even if the Lin family betrays him, Lu Li will not be affected. It's a subconscious defense. This defense is difficult to remove. Unless it was someone like Alyssa who signed a slave contract, Lu Li would still find it difficult to trust the other party. But now, Lin Qinfeng actually asked to sign a slave contract with him. It was true that Lu Li was surprised. After hearing Lu Li say that it was okay not to sign the contract, Lin Qinfeng not only did not get up from the ground, but became more determined in his thoughts. Qinfeng signed the contract voluntarily, please ask Mr. Lu to fulfill it. After saying this, Lin Qinfeng bit her fingertips and dripped blood on the slave contract. No regrets, never regret it even after 9 deaths. Lu Li curled his lips and took the contract. Looking at Lin Qinfeng again, her eyes were a little softer. Ding! It is detected that the slave contract has been signed, and the player, Lin Qinfeng, voluntarily becomes the player, Lu Li, as the master. The contract will take effect from then on until death. Seeing Lu Li helping Lin Qinfeng up, Lin Tianxia on the side finally couldn't bear it anymore. He had just come back from the dead and saw that his eldest daughter had signed a slave contract with someone else. Putting aside his identity as the leader of the Lin family, just as a father, Lin Tianxia couldn't accept it. Boy, you'd better give me an explanation. Lin Tianxia yelled and wanted to know more. However, he was weak and his legs became weak before he even took half a step. If it weren't for Lin Qinhua and Lin Qinzu supporting him, the old man would probably have knelt down on the spot. But when Lin Qinfeng told Lin Tianxia the whole story, the old man still knelt down for Lu Li. Mr. Lu's great kindness will never be forgotten by Lin Tianxia. From now on, my life belongs to him. Lin Tianxia said, kowtow to Lu Li. Lu Li was afraid that the old man would sign a slave contract with him if he got excited, so he hurriedly helped him up from the ground. Mr. Lin made his words serious. From now on, we will cooperate sincerely and strive to make the Lin family bigger and stronger. Okay. Lin Tianxia's eyes were full of gratitude, and he burst into tears. But soon, he seemed to realize something, looked around and said, "Where did Qin Yu go? Why didn't you see her?" Lin Qinhua and Lin Qinzu looked at each other, neither knowing where to start. Tell Daddy, this girl Lin Qinyu wanted to die and gave herself to the Zhao family as a hostage. Lin Tianxia was afraid that he would be angry to death on the spot. In the end, the eldest sister Lin Qinfeng comforted her and said, "Dad, Qinyu is controlled by Zhao Jin, but don't worry, her life is not in danger for the time being. Mr. Lu came here this time with the intention of discussing with us the plan to rescue Qin Yu." What? This little girl is causing trouble. Lin Tianxia was shocked when he heard this and almost lost his temper. The three sisters persuaded Lin Tianxia to go back to his room to rest for a long time. After Mr. Lin was settled, Lu Li and the Lin sisters came to the meeting hall. As soon as she sat down, Lin Qinzu got straight to the point. "If you ask me, if you just search the Zhao family's territory in Yongcheng City, you can always find the whereabouts of my little sister." Lin Qinhua frowned. Would this act in a way that alerts the enemy? Lin Qinfeng also felt a little reckless. The Zhao family colluded with Yinghua, and the woman who kidnapped the little girl was from Yinghua. Even if we dig through the Zhao family's territory, it might not help. Perhaps, my little sister is no longer in the Zhao family's territory now, but in the hands of the Sakura people. Lin Qinhua nodded. I think that in order to save my little sister, we need to find out more information. It is safest to ask other families for help at a cost. Lin Qinzu retorted with a harsh tone and murderous intent. Expending money to ask other families for help. Second sister, have you forgotten how we were tricked by the Zhao family? If Mr. Lu hadn't been in that secret killing place at that time, we would have gone to the underworld to be sisters. Of the other 6, human-level, families, which one can you guarantee will not cheat our Lin family? Lin Qinhua felt aggrieved. That's better than just alerting the enemy. What will my father say to me if I kill my little sister? Seeing that the second sister was about to quarrel with the third sister, Lin Qinfeng quickly stopped her. Okay, you two need to calm down for a while. Listen to Mr. Lu's advice. Hearing this, Lin Qinhua and Lin Qinzu immediately stopped talking, and both looked at Lu Li. In their eyes, Lu Li is now a god. God's advice must be absolutely correct. Lin Qinfeng thought so too. But what surprised the three sisters of the Lin family was that their Mr. Lu didn't seem to be listening at all, because he was extremely focused on swiping the data panel. From time to time, I type something. Mr. Lu. Lin Qinfeng shouted softly. Lu Li still didn't respond. But the kind-hearted Alyssa heard this and gently poked Lu Li's shoulder. What's the matter? Lu Li woke up from a dream and looked at the three sisters with confused eyes. Mr. Lu, do you have any suggestions for rescuing Qin Yu? Lin Qinfeng didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so she had to repeat the question. Advice. Advice is no advice. Quote. The three sisters of the Lin family, including Alyssa, who acted as a backdrop, were stunned at the same time. Lu Li looked away from the panel and corrected with a smile. I mean, you just need to cooperate with me next time. The three sisters looked happy. Mr. Liu, is there any way to find my little sister? Almost. Lu Li gestured to Alyssa to open the data panel and continued to the three sisters of the Lin family. You can go to the global trading market to see the messages I sent. Lin Qinfeng and the other three immediately followed suit. As soon as I logged in, I saw the transaction message sent by Lu Li. Zhonghu is in urgent need of buying props or methods that can remove the negative effects of demon erosion at a high price. The three sisters of the Lin family. What does this have to do with rescuing Lin Qinyu? Because Lu Li did not use a pseudonym and sent directly under his real name, there were many responses from players below the transaction message. Oh my god, Boss Lu Li, who is number 1 on the level list, has appeared. Is it really Boss Lu Li? It can't be that silly K who is pretending to be him. Devil Chi erosion, what kind of negative effect is this? It sounds so scary. Boss Lu Li, did you encounter some powerful monster and was injured? At Lu Li, boss, I have intermediate life elixir, but I don't know if it can remove the negative effects you mentioned. Upstairs, I know you want to lick Mr. Lu Li, but don't lick it yet. Intermediate life elixir looks like it can only restore blood. At Lu Li, I have unpurified purification potion. The boss is interested in privately discussing the price. Facing the puzzled looks of the three sisters, Lu Li smiled and said nothing. He just replied at his players one by one on the chat interface. At Tang Juheed, intermediate life elixir cannot remove the demon erosion. I have already tried it, but thank you for your attention. At Makabazi, unpurified purification potion can only remove the negative effects of poisoning, and has no effect on demon erosion. After replying, Lu Li sent 4 more transaction messages in a row, directly reaching the upper limit of transaction messages that could be sent that day. That anxious look, it seemed that he could die suddenly at any time and at any time. Lin Qinfeng looked worried and said guiltily, Mr. Liu, let me apologize to you again on behalf of my little sister. I didn't expect that the demon erosion would be so difficult to remove. If she hadn't been willful at that time, you wouldn't have been troubled by this. Lu Li replied without looking back. It's okay, I've eliminated that negative effect. The three sisters of the Lin family were stunned again. Already cleared, so what transaction message did you send? He seemed to be in a hurry. Seeing that the three sisters were not following the train of thought, Lu Li explained. I send trading messages to lure snakes out of their holes. The negative effect of devil chi corrosion is very rare. Apart from me, only the Sakura people probably know how to remove it. Lin Qinhua became more and more confused. So, Mr. Liu sent the message so anxiously because he wanted the Sakura people to tell them how to eliminate the demon erosion. Lin Qinzu's words were concise and to the point. How could the Sakura people say that? They most want Mr. Liu to die. Lin Qinfeng nodded in agreement. That's right, Sakura and the Zhao family may be having fun on the chat channel right now. Lin Qinhua spread her hands and looked at Lu Li. Then what's the point of Mr. Liu doing this? To make people laugh. Lu Li gave it a try. So, I need to cooperate. Alyssa, join the chat channel, reply to me, and say that you have a way to remove the demon erosion, but it requires face-to-face transactions. When the three sisters of the Lin family heard this, they all looked at Alyssa. The cat-eared girl who was acting as the backdrop didn't expect that she would also participate, and was a little embarrassed. Me, good master. After a while, another message appeared below the transaction message posted by Lu Li. At Lu Li, I have a way to remove the demon erosion, but it requires face-to-face transactions. Once it was sent, it instantly triggered ridicule. At Lucky Lisa, so many players have failed to recruit, how can you find a solution? You must have deceived Mr. Lu Li. At Lucky Lisa, if you really have a way and say it directly on the public channel, why do you have to deal in person? At Lucky Lisa, my friend, what kind of background do you have? You still want to ask Mr. Lu Li to meet in private? Are you trying to take advantage of the situation? Boss Lu Li is also number 1 on the level list. Isn't this, Lucky Lisa, stupid enough to try to take advantage of him? The worst thing I'm afraid of is that it's not calculated by heart, but it's intentional. It's the end of the world now, so you can't be too smart. Lu Li looked at the gradually fermenting atmosphere on the channel and raised the corner of his mouth. He replied after Alyssa's message. At Lucky Lisa, do we have to trade in person? I'm in a very bad state right now and I'm worried about an accident. As soon as these words came out, the entire chat channel was silent for 3 seconds. 3 whole seconds. After 3 seconds, the news poured out like an explosion. Boss Lu Li is not in good condition. Then don't do business in person. Yes, be careful. This, Lisa, is not at ease at first glance. Killing people and grabbing treasures must be killing people and grabbing treasures. I'm so familiar with this routine. At Lucky Lisa, as I said before, if you really have a way, just say it directly on the public channel. If you trade in person or something, you will definitely have something in your heart. Lu Li patted Alyssa on the shoulder. Now it's your turn to reply. Just say, believe it or not, if you want to eliminate the demon erosion, just do the deal in person, otherwise there is no need to discuss it. Alyssa nodded and typed out the reply as Lu Li said. This time, the chat channel became even more lively. Did you see that? They've stopped pretending. Let's show off our cards. We want boss. Hey Lu Li. You still say, believe it or not, such a loud tone. Boss Lu Li won't go, Lisa will be so angry. Lu Li typed again. But if the demon erosion is not removed, it will turn into a deep erosion. At Lucky Lisa, where are you? I'll go find you. Alyssa looked at the information in the channel and asked Lu Li. Master, should I reply to you with a trading location next? But Lu Li stopped her. No rush, let the bullets fly for a while and listen to everyone's opinions first. The 3 sisters of the Lin family were confused. Want to hear everyone's opinions. Isn't this just the 2 of you singing a double act? What else do I need to hear? Sure enough, not long after Lu Li's message was sent out, players in the channel came up with ideas for him. There was talk of being Lu Li's bodyguard to protect Lu Li's safety during the transaction. There was also talk of being a middleman, transacting on behalf of Lu Li. All kinds and varieties. However, what is most recognized by players is that everyone agrees on a trading location together. Let the players act as supervisors and supervise the transaction process between Alyssa and Lu Li. The discussion soon turned to the choice of trading location. Finally, it was determined to be outside the shelter in the center of Yangcheng. Looking at the news on the public channel, Lu Li nodded with satisfaction. Now you can reply to me and say, I am not afraid of shadows. As everyone wants, the transaction location will be outside the shelter in the center of Yangcheng. Good. Alyssa typed out a reply. Later, Lu Li also approved this trading location on the public channel. The time is set at noon the next day. Lin Qinfeng said curiously. Mr. Lu, can this lure the snake out of its hole? Lu Li nodded confidently. That's right. But among the players who just confirmed the location, not only are there no Sakura people, it seems there are not even people from the Zhao family. Lin Qinhua asked. How can Mr. Lu be sure that they will definitely come? Lu Li chuckled. Because this is a good opportunity, a perfect opportunity to kill me. Do you still remember what happened when the Sakura woman named Puppy turned into a parasitic demon? Sbarasi. Sangu Ishii stared at the messages on the chat channel, as excited as someone who had drunk fake wine. Zhiguzhong is like a god, it's really my Sakura Wolong. The little pine dog occupying Lin Qinyu's body snorted disdainfully. This Lu Li is stupider than I thought. I thought he would come to trouble us again after clearing away the demon erosion. Unexpectedly, not only was he unable to clear it, but he was stupid enough to send a message on the public channel to ask. Zhao Wu analyzed the news on the public channel one by one and hesitated. Although Lu Li's approach was a bit reckless, I have to admit that he did find a solution. That player named Lucky Lisa will be able to help Lu Li remove the demon erosion at noon tomorrow. Ishii Senkin smiled and patted Zhao Wu on the shoulder. So what, Wusen, where do you think they chose the trading place? Outside the shelter in the center of Yangcheng, isn't that your territory? Zhao Wu smiled awkwardly. It is indeed my territory. Is it possible that Mr. Ishii plans to take action when Lu Li and Alyssa are making a deal? Ishii and Komatsu nodded at the same time. A trace of disdain flashed in Zhao Wu's eyes, and he secretly laughed that the 2 Japs didn't pay attention to the content of the public channel chat. The transaction at noon tomorrow will be witnessed and supervised by other players. Even if Ishii can kill Lu Li and Lisa, can all players present be eliminated? What if there are informants from prefecture level, or even heaven level, families among the melon-eating crowd? If Shijing makes such a fuss, won't Zhao Erwu's 1/3 of an acre of land be lost immediately? Thinking of this, Zhao Erwu decided to remind the two Japs. Two of you, it's not me who makes others more ambitious and destroys my own prestige. Lu Li's transaction at noon tomorrow was witnessed by other players. I have no problem with you two taking action to kill Lu Li. But will it be a bit difficult to keep everyone behind? I thought Ishii and Komatsu would take this seriously. Unexpectedly, the two of them laughed even more wildly. Erwu-san, you don't have to worry about this problem at all. Ishii looked arrogant. We have props blessed by the Holy Lord, which can ensure that those pigs watching the excitement will never come back. Zhao Erwu was startled, his face full of doubt. Real. Xiao Songjiquan looked at Zhao Erwu with the eyes of looking at garbage. Of course it's true. When the time comes, you can still choose their talents at will. This will be your reward for cooperating with Morioka Domain. Beijing. Inside a heavily guarded safe house. An old man in Chinese tunic suit stared at the news on the public channel, frowning in thought. After a long time, he said to the secretary beside him. Ask Lao Jin, is there any information about the negative effects of demon erosion in the current records? The secretary typed the message quickly and replied after a moment. No. The old man frowned deeper. Lao Jin, have you ever tried divination? The divination has been done. The secretary replied. Con Gua, apart from this, there is no other useful information. Alas, the old man sighed, as if he wanted to spit out the frustration in his chest. Let General Ao Zhan lead his people there, and be sure to protect Lu Li. He is most likely China's hope. Early the next morning, Qi Ziyu woke up very early. He planned to leave the unfinished building where he had been hiding for 3 days and head to the center of Yangcheng. Not only for the shelter that provides 3 meals a day. More importantly, he wanted to join in the fun. Lu Li, who is number 1 on the level list, is a real boss at level 15. If you are lucky enough to be in your lap, won't the rest of the day be smooth sailing? With this idea in mind, Qi Ziyu happily embarked on the journey to the city center. Little did he know that joining in the fun this time would change his life forever. Along the way, Qi Ziyu did not encounter any danger. Compared with the dangers at the beginning of the end of the world, the city is much safer now. Not that all the monsters were killed. The main reason is that the average combat power of players has significantly improved. After the initial massacre, many players with poor talent and no ability to survive have become corpses. Those who survive have decent talents, and spontaneously form a team to greatly increase the probability of survival. On the way to the shelter, Qi Ziyu met such a team of survivors. It is said to be a resident from Sunshine Community. After the disaster broke out, they relied on supplies from supermarkets near the community. But just yesterday, that supermarket was looted inexplicably. Don't talk about food, not even a pair of socks was left. In order not to starve to death, the survivors in the community had no choice but to move to a shelter in the center of Yangcheng. Xiaoqi, you don't know how dangerous the world is now. Just the day before yesterday, our community kindly accepted 3 high school students. Unexpectedly, these 3 people attracted enemies. People in the community are dead, but the supermarket supplies have been looted. In this world, good intentions are never rewarded. Aunt Zhang babbled like an angry old fly. Looking at the angry look in his eyes, Qi Ziyu even felt that his name was among the 3 high school students who caused the disaster. In line with the idea of making friends when going out and causing less trouble, Qi Ziyu could only apologize in embarrassment. I thought that if I stayed in the shelter, my ears would be completely quiet. Unexpectedly, Aunt Zhang suddenly grabbed Qi Ziyu and asked with a smile. Xiaoqi, seeing that you are out and about alone, I think you must be quite talented. Do you have any enemies? Qi Ziyu recalled it carefully. After confirming that the person closest to the definition of enemy was Xu Xiao, the one who had tricked him, he shook his head decisively. Aunt Zhang, I have no enemies. The smile on Aunt Zhang's face became even brighter, like an old chrysanthemum. That's a great feeling. Do you want to join us? Let's unite and help each other and survive in this dangerous world. Ah, Chi Ziyu couldn't figure out Aunt Zhong's thoughts for a while, and it took him a long time to say. But don't we all go to the shelter? Then we will all be a group. Aunt Zhong waved her hands, with an expression on her face that said, "You're still young, you don't understand. Wherever there are people, there are rivers and lakes. Can you guarantee that there will be no cliques or infighting in the shelter we are going to? Instead of waiting to be tricked by others, why don't we unite and trick others first?" Hiss, that makes sense. Chi Ziyu secretly agreed with Aunt Zhong's statement. If there was a fight among small groups in the shelter, individual players like him would definitely be the first to suffer. Rather than being passive then, it is better to be proactive now. Thinking of this, Chi Ziyu immediately agreed to Aunt Zhong's proposal. The other survivors in Sunshine Community unanimously welcomed Chi Ziyu's joining. The atmosphere was warm, like long-lost family finally reunited. When the sun was about to reach its highest point in the sky, Chi Ziyu's survivor team finally arrived in the center of Yangcheng. A lot of people had gathered outside the shelter, mostly to witness the transaction. The players were in groups, chatting with each other. Chi Ziyu saw this, but felt a strange feeling in his heart. It's as if these players are not people with friendly intentions, but a hyena just waiting for carrion. Hey, that one named Lu Li is really grand. There are so many people here to witness the transaction. Aunt Zhong obviously knew what happened on the public channel yesterday, and she kept talking about it. Xiaoqi, let's enter the shelter quickly. There will probably be chaos here soon. Hearing this, Chi Ziyu looked at Aunt Zhong with some confusion. Auntie, what do you mean? Aunt Zhong looked around cautiously and whispered. This Lu Li has many enemies. Yesterday, he was the one who killed several people in our Sunshine Community. There's no telling how much trouble there will be today. Listen to me, Aunt, he is not a good person. Let's stay away from him. After saying that, Aunt Zhong didn't care whether Chi Ziyu heard it or not. She grabbed his arm and walked towards the shelter. Chi Ziyu couldn't resist and had no choice but to go to the shelter. The time reaches noon. 1 second it was clear that the weather was sunny, but the next second it was suddenly covered with clouds. The thunder was rolling, as if it would rain at any time. Just when all the players were wondering why the two parties to the transaction hadn't shown up yet, the roar of a car engine suddenly came from the distant street. From far to near, the black Maybach is carrying the strong wind, like an unstoppable beast. Under the gaze of the crowd, the car drifted to an abrupt stop, and a faint burnt smell filled the dusty air. The back door of the car opened, revealing a pair of slender, white legs. The hip-hugging skirt outlines her tight and hot curves, and the black veil covers her pretty face. A pair of eyes that captivate the soul and stir people's hearts. The most amazing thing is that the woman is also decorated with cat ears and cat tail. Stunner. An absolute stunner. The male players present were collectively agitated. They had thought that hard-working Lisa might be a beauty. But they never thought that the other party would be so beautiful and unreasonable. Twigs bear fruit, which is delicious and addictive. Beautiful waist, beautiful back, voluptuous breasts and long legs. I have the material for my dreams tonight. It's the end of the world and you still cosplay a cat-eared girl. It's so hot that it goes deep into your bones. The male player's words became more and more explicit. After all, this is the end of the world, and morality and law can no longer restrain human nature. If it weren't for the unknown strength of Lisa, someone would have pounced on her and unleashed her animalistic desires. The female players all rolled their eyes at Lisa's outfit, trying to cover up their inner jealousy with disdain. Alyssa ignored the reactions around her and stood there waiting quietly like a landscape painting. The way he kept away from strangers was completely different from how he looked in front of Lu Li. Time passes by every second. Lu Li never showed up. Just when all the onlookers thought that Lu Li had broken the appointment, the light and shadow suddenly distorted in front of Alyssa. A man wearing a trench coat and thin armor appeared out of thin air. He seemed to be in bad shape and couldn't even stand steady. I'll go and see that his face is pale and he seems to be in really bad condition. Now I know why the trading time is set at 12 noon. Why, have you forgotten? From 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock every day, it is the time period when the challenge mechanism takes effect. So, If you kill the number 1 player on the level list during this time period, the reward will be very generous. He, so the person who set this time has great wisdom. Then if possible, everyone can compete fairly based on their abilities. Listening to the undisguised comments in her ears, Alyssa silently gave Luli a thumbs up in her heart. The owner really guessed it right. The players who can come to supervise this transaction all have their own agendas. After briefly going through the plot arranged by Luli in her mind, Alyssa began to perform. She raised her chin and took out something from the space ring. This is an excellent quality purification potion. After drinking it, it can purify all negative effects. Naturally, it can also purify the demon erosion on your body. I'm not asking a high price. I'll give you a perfect quality prop or equipment in exchange. Hearing this, the onlookers all had playful expressions on their faces. Excellent quality for perfect quality. It's really a lion's mouth. It's a seller's market now. This woman is sure that Boss Luli is going to use her purification potion to save lives. Not to mention perfect quality. Even if it's epic quality, Luli has to grit his teeth and take it out. Luli had a shocked look on his face, and said with a bit of pleading, I don't have perfect quality items, can I exchange them for 2 pieces of excellent quality equipment? With that said, Luli took out 2 gauntlets from the space ring. Alyssa shook her head. Only perfect quality, I have plenty of excellent quality things. As soon as these words came out, all the players were in an uproar. Are there many things of excellent quality? Cannot tell. This beauty is also a rich woman. For a moment, the eyes looking at the 2 people became even more greedy. Luli looked bitter. But I really don't have any on me. Otherwise, I will take out all the props and equipment on me and show them to you. Just pick whichever one you like. After saying that, Luli didn't wait for Alyssa's reply and just took out something from the space ring. Weapons and armor, Yuanjing medicinal materials, skill books, and secret realm tickets were piled on the floor in a mess. Seeing the good things all over the floor, the onlookers' eyes widened. There were even a few impatient ones who had quietly taken out their weapons. Looking at the reaction of the people around her, Alyssa was secretly proud. Everything seemed to be going well. Next, just act according to the script. The next scene should be Alyssa suddenly attacking Luli. Alyssa silently went through the plot in her mind and reached out to touch the space ring. However, just when she was about to take out the dagger and kill someone to seize the treasure, an unexpected figure suddenly broke in. It's Xu Xiao. The girl's face was full of anxiety. Luli, I give you this perfect quality equipment. Quickly exchange it for the purification potion. Xu Xiao, why are you here? Luli, the uncrowned Oscar-winning actor, was so shocked that his eyes widened at this moment. Xu Xiao didn't understand Luli's eyes at all, and still anxiously stuffed the equipment into Luli's hand. Hurry and exchange it for the purification potion. It's important to save your life. Luli lowered his head and saw that it was a skirt. JK girl's tempting short skirt. Isn't this the perfect equipment he took out of the treasure box and gave to Xu Xiao? It seems like the bound props cannot be traded. Luli secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the performance accident was not serious. With some manipulation, it might turn into a performance effect. Luli coughed lightly and pretended to check the skirt. After that, he pretended to be angry and said, This item is bound and cannot be traded. Do you want to kill me? Get out. As he said that, he threw the skirt on the ground. Xu Xiao was startled, his eyes slightly red. She apologized somewhat remorsefully. I didn't notice that it was a bound prop. I'm sorry Luli, I didn't mean it. As he spoke, he bent down and picked up the skirt on the ground. The surrounding players were watching eagerly, and the circle surrounding Luli and Alyssa seemed to have become much smaller. Luli was worried and simply kicked Xu Xiao's butt. Get out of here. You and I don't owe each other any more. If you let me see you again, I will kill you directly. Xu Xiao was caught off guard and was kicked away by Luli, leaving him covered in dust. He looked so pitiful that Alyssa couldn't help but feel sad. The master is so cruel. However, despite feeling distressed, Alyssa still understood the reason why Luli did this. All irrelevant personnel have been cleared and the performance continues. Alyssa quickly took out the dagger from the space ring and stabbed Luli in the chest. Immediately afterwards, she read out the last line with an exaggerated expression. Ha ha ha, Lu Li, you are confused. If I kill you, won't all these good things be mine? The onlookers were stunned for a moment. Broken. Let this slut take the lead. The delicately balanced atmosphere was instantly broken, and the scene suddenly became chaotic. I don't know who took the lead in shouting, "Kill Lu Li and distribute the equipment." All players immediately targeted Lu Li. In other words, they had planned to deal with Lu Li from the beginning, but they just lacked a signal. Okay, you have wanted to attack me for a long time, right? Lu Li knelt down on one knee and covered his wound with his hand, as if he was at the end of his rope. There was a clamor among the players. Lu Li, don't speak so harshly. You have so much good equipment. Why don't you share it with everyone? Yes, you are number 1 on the level list, and you have an obligation to help us improve our combat power and level. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Alyssa picked up 2 pieces of equipment from the ground and retreated behind everyone. This scene happened to fall in the eyes of some caring people. In his opinion, it was very reasonable for Alyssa to leave after reaping the benefits. So there was no doubt. No one stopped me. After all, compared to Alyssa, a player who is in peak condition and unclear about the details, Lu Li, who has negative effects and was stabbed, is obviously easier to bully. However, before all the players could attack together, Lu Li suddenly covered his forehead with one hand and laughed wildly. Do you really think you can capture me with just such a small number of people? I am the first in the ranking list. As soon as he finished speaking, the dense blade-armed mantises condensed out of thin air, firmly protecting Lu Li. An overwhelming aura of domineering power swept over the scene, causing all the players' breathing to become somewhat suffocated. Those who know the truth, get out. I won't kill a chicken or a dog with my sword. Lu Li's right arm turned into a sword, and red mist billowed around him. In the eyes of others, Lu Li at this moment was like the Shira god of killing who had walked out of hell. Who the hell said that Boss Lu Li is no longer good? Boss Lu Li is obviously very good. I'm sorry, brother Lu Li, I was blinded by lard. I'm going to get out now. Boss Lu Li is unparalleled and arrogant. I'm a fool, so I won't taint your eyes. The fragile alliance the players had just formed collapsed in an instant. The players retreated one after another, indicating that they no longer wanted to play Lu Li's game. But just at this moment, someone shouted, "Everyone, wait, Lu Li is just pretending, he is not as powerful as he looks." The players were startled and turned their heads in the direction of the sound. A short, fat man with a round face and bean eyes appeared in view. Judging by the way he is dressed, he does not look like a Chinese. It was none other than Ishii Sananu's right-hand man, Tojo Hahara. Everyone, listen to me, Lu Li still has the negative effect of demon erosion. He won't last long. As long as we all come together, we can kill Lu Li. Not only can we get the killing treasure chest, but we can also share his equipment and props equally. Don't be afraid that you can't beat him. I have a secret tool and I guarantee that I can kill him. Although Tojo Hahara's tone was weird, the players listened to his words. For a time, most of the players stopped retreating. Only a few people were afraid of Lu Li's mantis soul soldiers and left without looking back. Lu Li saw the Sakura man finally appeared and sneered. You little devil, you are trying to trick the Chinese people to kill the Chinese people. You are so good at killing people with a borrowed knife. Everyone, please leave quickly. This is a grudge between me and this fat guy Sakura. After hearing this, several more players chose to leave. However, in the face of interests, a large number of people still choose to stay and cooperate with Tojo Hahara. Lu Li looked at these greedy eyes, and his eyes gradually lost their warmth. Tojo Hahara looked at the remaining players and nodded with satisfaction. He took out something and placed it in his palm. Everyone, this is the prop I used to defeat Lu Li, powerful invigorating gas tank. Inhaling the gas inside can temporarily increase the 4-dimensional attributes by 3 times. Everyone suck hard. Let's kill Lu Li who is number 1 on the level list together. With that said, Tojo Hahara threw the gas can into the crowd. Lu Li retreated subconsciously, took out the gas mask from the space ring and put it on his face. He has never seen any powerful invigorating gas tank, nor has he heard of any props that can bring such a powerful increase to people. Lu Li didn't understand until a large amount of black and green gas was sprayed out of the gas tank. What is this powerful invigorating gas tank? It's clearly a smoke bomb filled with corruption essence. The black-green gas spewed out from inside is not an exciting gas that can temporarily increase attributes, but extremely rich demonic energy. Lu Li immediately recalled the Soul Soldier Mantis to avoid being contaminated by the demonic energy. This move fell into the eyes of Tojo Hahara and was regarded as a sign of cowardice. Look, everyone, Lu Li really can't hold on any longer. Even his summons were forcibly taken back. Everyone, hurry up. The first person to kill him will be rewarded with a killing chest. Due to the extremely strong demonic energy and the active absorption, players were hooked on the negative effect of deep erosion from the very beginning. The illusory and powerful feeling deceived their nerves and quickly corroded their sanity. He, kill Lu Li. Get the treasure chest. Kill Lu Li. Get the treasure box. Crazy players were like mad dogs, rushing towards Lu Li one after another. Lu Li doesn't retreat but advances. The sharp edge cuts through the air, cuts muscles and breaks bones. Although after deep erosion, the player's four-dimensional attributes have been significantly improved. But correspondingly, the influence of demonic energy also made their actions extremely reckless. An ordinary person might be timid or frightened when faced with such a group of crazy enemies. But Lu Li wouldn't. In his previous life, he had fought against tens of thousands of demons alone. Nowadays, Lu Li doesn't have much pressure just to deal with these deep erosion players. Although he does not have a sacred system talent, he needs to always pay attention to the degree of being corroded by demonic energy. But now, bloody massacre has finished cooling down. The second stage slaughter can purify all negative effects on the body, including evil energy erosion. So what Lu Li was most worried about was Tojo Hahara's escape. Because once that happens, he will completely cut off the clues to find Lin Chinyu. Fortunately, Tojo Hahara had no intention of escaping. He wandered outside the crowd and kept throwing powerful energizing gas tanks to contaminate more players. Like a skunk that keeps releasing poison gas. Not only that, he also kept mocking Lu Li. Hey, Lu Li, you're exhausted. You can't hold on anymore. Topping the level list is nothing more than that. I haven't even used my natural ability yet. Look at these Chinese people, do they look like the good dogs I raise? Ha. The scene of Tojo Hahara mocking Lu Li was also clearly seen by Aozan in the building not far away. At this moment, he was clenching his fists and his whole body was tense. Aozan arrived in Yongcheng secretly last night. The main reason why I didn't show up before the transaction was because I was dissatisfied. As a player who has awakened ultra-rare talents, Aozan believes that he is the hope of China. His spiritual possession not only has the highest level of diamond talent, but also has extremely powerful abilities and effects. So when Aozan received the mission, he was disdainful. Just number 1 on the level list. Maybe it's some shitty luck. It's not like he's number 1 in combat power. It doesn't matter if you don't guarantee it. But after Aozan watched the battle between Lu Li and Tojo Hahara, his mind changed. He discovered that Lu Li was not just a lucky idiot. This person is very strong. While watching the battle, Aozan once put himself in Lu Li's situation. He found that although he could deal with those crazy players, it was difficult for him not to get hurt. And the only injury Lu Li had suffered so far was the stab from that woman. The difference in strength can be seen at a glance. Attention, all groups, wait until I give the order to surround them. Don't let anyone go. Especially that Sakura Japs. If you let him go, you brats will be waiting for death. Yes, a low and powerful response came from Aozan's earphones. I'll take action first to relieve the pressure on Kid Lu Li. After finishing speaking, Aozan was ready to use his natural ability. But at this moment, he suddenly stopped. Because the battle situation not far away has undergone new changes. What are you doing? Do you still have a trump card? Aozan subconsciously withdrew his power and watched in surprise as Lu Li summoned 4 puppets out of thin air. The puppets all held long knives, and the facial features on their faces were replaced by a monotonous word, violent. A puppet prop that doesn't even have facial features. This is too. Before Aozan could say, see, 4 sword slaves not far away had already entered the crowd. The long knife seems to be wielded casually, but it can accurately harvest lives every time. The situation reversed instantly. Under the charge of the sword slaves, heads fell to the ground one by one like ripe ears of wheat. Even Ao Zhan, who was used to seeing life and death fights, felt shuddering at this moment. What a scary puppet. Tojo Hahara looked at the changes in front of him, and the previous ridicule suddenly froze on his face, as ugly as solidified lard. Komatsu-chan's information is indeed correct. This Lu Li's puppet is very difficult to deal with. It seems that I have to use my natural ability. Lu Li, prepare to face the trial of King Yama. Tojo Hahara threw the can away and inhaled the strong demonic energy crazily. He tore his clothes apart, revealing the tattoo underneath. That's a green-faced and fanged evil spirit. Take off your clothes when fighting. What kind of perverted habit? Lu Li put on his gas mask tighter and looked alert. As Tojo Habara trembled all over, the tattooed demon actually moved. Its razor-like claws hooked Tojo Hahara's shoulders left and right, struggling to get out of the skin. In just one breath, it expanded to a height of 3 meters, which was extremely oppressive. And Tojo Hahara himself also changed from a bloated fat man full of fat to a weirdo with gnarled muscles. Ao Zhan, who was not far away, couldn't help but exclaimed when he saw this. What kind of talent is this? It can actually strengthen itself while summoning evil spirits. The team members lurking around asked. General Ao, that little devil's momentum has suddenly become much stronger. Even if Lu Li has 4 puppets to help him, he might not be able to handle it. Do we want to go? Go. Ao Zonggong was about to give the order. But Lu Li waved his hand and put away all 4 puppets. Ao Zhan. Team members lurking around. What is Lu Li doing? Did he think he didn't die quickly enough? Lu Li looked at the terrifying evil spirits that kept coming, with a strange look on his face. He looks like, are you suppressing a laugh? PFF'd, ha 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 ha. Lu Li suddenly laughed out loud. The sound was so loud that everyone's heart stopped for a beat. Tojo Hahara was dumbfounded and stared blankly at Lu Li laughing. What are you laughing at? Ha ha ha, I'm sorry, a kid dares to call himself the king of hell. It's really funny. Baga, you dare to humiliate me, I will kill you. Tojo Hahara's veins popped out. The evil ghost howled wildly and rushed towards Lu Li. Not good. Ao Zhan was horrified. He could see that this attack was extremely ferocious. Lu Li may not be able to hide. The truth was just as Ao Zhan thought. Lu Li's figure showed no intention of moving and was instantly swallowed up by the evil spirit. Tojo Hahara obviously didn't expect Lu Li to be so vulnerable. After being stunned, he started laughing crazily. Ah ha ha ha, I thought you had some trump card, but it turned out that you were scared crazy, ha ha ha. The evil ghost also laughed wildly with Tojo Hahara, and the sound was like a leaky drum, which was very permeable. However, smiling and laughing, the evil spirits became silent. Only Tojo Hahara was left on the field, still immersed in the joy of victory, which seemed extremely abrupt. Ha ha ha. Ha. After laughing for a long time, Tojo Hahara finally realized something was wrong. He opened his bean eyes and looked at the evil ghost in front of him with confusion on his face. The evil ghost's eyes were lifeless and his face was dull, not even the slightest bit ferocious. What happened? Tojo Hahara stepped forward and wanted to take the evil spirit back. The moment his palms made contact, the evil ghost suddenly turned his head. For the first time, his bell-like eyes showed a look of fear, which seriously startled Tojo Hahara. What's going on? Lu Li's voice came out from the evil ghost's body like a death knell. Soul swallowing. In an instant, the evil ghost's body was twisted and broken, and all of them fell into Lu Li's mouth. Swallowing LV.8 Ghost History and Literature, Soul Points plus 50. How is it possible, my Lord Yama? Tojo Hahara felt tightness in his chest and spit out a large mouthful of blood. The originally burly figure was suddenly knocked back to its original shape, like a deflated rubber ball. Lu Li smacked his lips, feeling that he still had more to say. How dare you, a little devil, claim to be king? What? Tojo Hahara staggered back, his eyes widening. Why can you devour my Lord Yama? Lu Li said slightly impatiently. I told you I'm just a brat, aren't you embarrassed that you keep calling me that? Is there anything else? Don't bother, just summon it and join us. Quote. Okay, you asked for this. Tojo Hahara gritted his teeth and his body shook violently. Before and after, 4 more evil spirits transformed from the tattoo into entities and crawled out of Tojo Hahara's limbs. Although these 4 evil ghosts are slightly smaller than the first one in size, they are no less ferocious. In an instant, Lu Li was surrounded. Tojo Hahara's body also swelled again, and even his head became taller. It looks like a ferocious beast. Watch out, Lu Li. These are 4 ghosts. They can make me go all out, and your death will not be unjust. Tojo Hahara is extremely arrogant. He thought he could see the panic expression on the other person's face. However, Lu Li just looked disappointed and said, "That's it, is this all your strength? It's not that much." Swallowing souls. Lu Li activated his natural ability again. The 4 evil ghosts didn't even have time to react and turned them into 200 soul points. Poof, poof, Tojo Hahara spurted blood, and his strong body shriveled up to the point of being skinny and bones. He murmured in disbelief, "Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. How did you do it? Why on earth can you swallow my ghost?" Of course Lu Li would not explain it to Tojo Hahara. He just picked his ears and joked. "Because I am the king of hell." After saying this, Lu Li suddenly disappeared. Stealth activates. When Tojo caught Lu Li's trace again, a rapidly enlarging fist struck right in front of him. Bang! A powerful and heavy punch directly smashed the bridge of Sakura Devil's nose and blasted him 3 meters away. This was something Lu Li held back. After all, he still had to get Lin Qinyu's whereabouts out of Tojo's mouth. Taking 2 steps forward, Lu Li grabbed Tojo's hair and lifted him off the ground. "Tell me, where is Lin Qinyu?" Tojo Hahara was stunned by this punch and was speechless for a long time. Lu Li raised his hand and slapped him twice, which made him sober up. "Haha, you are very strong, but you are too naive if you want to get information out of me." Tojo Hahara grinned, revealing half of his broken front teeth. "I am a samurai from the great Sakura Empire. A samurai who would rather die than surrender. Ha ha ha." Lu Li's face turned cold. "Are you sure you don't want to tell me? Don't tell me, just kill me." Tojo Hahara strangled his neck with a look of death on his face. "It's really the spirit of the Bushido." Lu Li sneered, secretly mobilizing all the soul points and adding them to a soul soldier. "I just don't know if you, a warrior, can withstand its torture." As soon as he finished speaking, a large amount of black energy surged out from around Lu Li. A huge ghost figure 5 meters tall quickly condensed, with a terrifying momentum. This is my ghost." Tojo Hahara was stupid. He still didn't understand why Lu Li could swallow his summons easily. In the blink of an eye, the other party summoned another identical ghost. Wrong. It's a ghost several times more powerful than him. Originally, I had a headache as to how I should torture you. Your little brat just helped me. I really need to thank you," Lu Li said with a smile. He naturally knew the 5 ghosts summoned by Tojo Hahara. They are not the so-called King Yama, but 5 little devils who are lucky to have money. Divided into southeast, northwest and center. Although they can be used as thugs, fighting is not what Wugui is best at. But luck in wealth and reading minds. 5 little ghosts can not only open people's doors, but also take people's property without breaking people's boxes and cages. He can also decipher people's hearts and steal their inner thoughts. Tojo Hahara obviously didn't understand his talent. He only drove these ghosts superficially and used them as ordinary summons. So when Lu Li said that his kid could help, Tojo Hahara was still confused. "How can I help?" Subdued. Tojo Hahara is a samurai from the great Sakura Empire. Even if he was beaten to death or cut into pieces, it was impossible for him to reveal any information about Lin Qinyue. HMPH, whatever means you have, just use them. If I tell you Lin Qinyue's whereabouts, you will be the one who gave birth to me. Tojo Hahara's tone was very provocative. "I don't want an unfilial son like you." Lu Li didn't bother to talk nonsense with the devil and directly ordered the ghost. "Chinese ghost Shi Wenye, search for his soul for me." When the ghost heard this, a look of surprise flashed through his bell-like eyes. It obviously didn't expect Lu Li to call out its name at once, and the joy of meeting Bull suddenly welled up in its chest. This new owner knows what he's really made of. Ghost Shi Wenye bowed excitedly and immediately put his hand on Tojo Hahara's head. Poor Tojo Hahara didn't know what he was about to experience, and he still kept shouting. It wasn't until the soul search began that he couldn't help but scream. In fact, according to the original level of Chinese ghost history literature, there is no way to completely search for the soul of Tojo Hahara. But with Lu Li here, he directly forcibly raised its level. Shi Wenye didn't even use much force, and the soul search was completed. All the memories in Tojo Hahara's mind were turned upside down. Even when I was little, I could see the scene of a widow from a neighboring village taking a bath, which was very clear. Well done. Lu Li praised Shi Wenye and took it back. Slightly different from other soul soldiers. The 5 fortune ghosts did not dissipate directly in the form of black mist, but instead formed 5 hideous tattoos, which were printed on Lu Li's chest and limbs respectively. Being completely soul-searched, Tojo Hahara has become a fool at this time. Lu Li raised his knife and lowered it, killing people and swallowing souls. Swallow level 8 player souls, soul points plus 30. Predatory ability, possession by yin spirit emerald. Whether to retain soul consciousness, yes, no. Lu Li didn't even think twice and directly chose to erase Tojo Hahara's consciousness. You are a scumbag, not worthy of being his soul guard. However, Lu Li's eyes lit up with Sakura Devil's innate ability. Possession by yin spirit. This is a good talent. Possession by yin spirit replicates 80% of the attribute value of the summoned object and adds it to itself, the upper limit of the summoned object's attribute superposition. 5. Recalling the changes in himself when Tojo Hahara summoned the evil ghost, Lu Li's smile became even wider. Swallowing souls, you can accumulate soul points by continuously devouring souls. The more soul points he has, the stronger Lu Li's soul soldiers will be. But after all, it cannot grow on its own, and it relies too much on summons. Now with yin spirit possession, it can just make up for this shortcoming. As long as the summons continue to get stronger, Lu Li's own strength will also increase. When necessary, he can also increase the level of the soul soldier in a targeted manner according to different battle situations and gain stronger attributes. Very flexible, but it's not time to be happy yet. After confirming that there were no enemies around, Lu Li thought deeply and began to check Tojo Hahara's memory. There was a lot of filthy and bloody content in it. Even though Lu Li was a man of 2 generations, he couldn't help but frown. Brute. Skipping those unpleasant moments, Lu Li quickly learned about Lin Qinyu's whereabouts. However, just as he stopped watching, a sound of male and female voices suddenly attracted his attention. It's Lin Qinyu, who was parasitized by the parasitic demon. I will not leave this body for the time being and be imprisoned by you pretending to be Lin Qinyu. If we really lose to Lu Li, then you can let him rescue Lin Qinyu. A Trojan horse that has passed through the city gate will definitely be able to capture Lu Li if he wants to. This old lady actually wants to trick me. Lu Li raised his eyebrows. Fortunately, I got the 5 lucky ghosts and saw the memory of Tojo Hahara. If not, Lu Li might really be plotted by Shaosong Jiquan. It seems that the plan is going to change. Lu Li rubbed his chin, thinking about countermeasures. At this moment, a burst of footsteps suddenly came from not far away. Lu Li looked up and saw 10 people dressed as special forces approaching. The leader is a strong man with a tiger's back and a wasp's waist and mantis legs. At first glance, he looks like a Lianjiazi with astonishing combat prowess. Hello, my name is Ao Zan. Without any false politeness, the strong man extended his right hand to Lu Li and introduced himself. I am here to protect your safety under the order of the Supreme Commander of China. Ao Zan. Lu Li's eyes narrowed, and memories of his past life quickly appeared in his mind. Ao Zan, one of the top 10 in China's combat power. The awakener of the ultra-rare talent spiritual possession. He once single-handedly defeated 3 waves of insect waves and defended the capital alone. In the previous life, Lu Li and Ao Zan met a year after the apocalypse broke out. Because they are equal in strength, and they have experienced life and death battles together. The relationship between the two is very good. It can be said that he is one of the few close friends of Lu Li. What a coincidence for this silly guy. A warm smile appeared on Lu Li's lips, and he also had a plan. Perhaps Ao Zan's power can be used to rescue Lin Qinyu this time. With this thought in his mind, Lu Li not only did not take hold of Ao Zan's extended right hand. Instead, he slapped his right hand away. You. Ao Zan was startled and was about to say something, but Lu Li interrupted him and said, I don't like to meet some weakling casually. What's your name? Tell me with your fists, not your mouth. Arrogant, arrogant, arrogant. When the team members following Ao Zan saw this, they all took half a step back in fright. Broken. This guy is a thorn in the side. The general must be on top. Sure enough, Ao Zan was so surprised that he chuckled and sprayed 2 air arrows from his nostrils. A pair of tiger eyes stared at Lu Li with great interest. Boy, are you sure you want me to use my fists to introduce myself? The team members quickly whispered. General, don't be impulsive. We are here with a mission. It is a protection mission, not a killing mission. Shut up, Ao Zan shouted. Do you think I'm mentally retarded? I don't understand the nature of the mission. If you guys dare to push me any further, I'll beat you up too. The team members were as silent as a cicada, not daring to say another word. Because they know that General Ao Zan is really crazy when he goes crazy. Not to mention that he is a member of his own team. He dares to beat even his father. Seeing Ao Zan teach his team members, Lu Li instead of being afraid, instead became more and more joking. Hey, you only know how to be a quarrel. Ao Zan. Good boy, very crazy. Then let me see if you have crazy capital. Without any warning, Ao Zan activated his natural ability instantly. The sacred shadow was like lightning exploding in the night sky, and majestic pressure exploded from this man. His body is as strong as a mountain and can crack the ground into pieces. Possessed by spirits, giant spirit god, Ning. Oh, as soon as it comes up, the giant spirit god. Lu Li was shocked, but remained calm on the surface. He made a faint gesture of pause. Wait a minute. Ao Zansheng stopped the fist he was about to swing and shouted dissatisfied. What are you doing? Don't be a coward. Lu Li rolled his eyes. Don't be afraid, just let me make some preparations first. With that said, he opened the data panel and temporarily removed the title after his name. Ao Zan saw this and sneered. Momojiji, you act like an idiot. Move quickly and use all your strength. Lu Li touched his nose and half smiled. Use all your strength. Then I'm really afraid of beating you to death. You. Ao Zan was furious and yelled. If I didn't beat you to the point where your face is full of peach blossoms today, you wouldn't know why the flowers are so red. After saying that, he raised his fist as big as a sandbag and hit Lu Li. Without the worry of being absolutely killed, Lu Li let go. All strength system talents are activated at the same time. Lu Li suddenly punched out his right fist, hitting Ao Zan's fist head-on. Boom! It was like a dull sound of gold and iron colliding. The figures of Lu Li and Ao Zan were both stagnant, and the ground beneath their feet exploded, creating spiderweb-like cracks. Ha ha ha! Good fight! Ao Zan laughed wildly, his momentum like a rainbow. Although Lu Li seemed calm on the surface, secretly he took a deep breath. His grandma's. It is indeed a super rare talent, spiritual possession. This punch actually broke the bones of his right arm. If Lu Li hadn't been strong-willed, he would have screamed in pain right now. Extreme healing activates quietly to heal invisible injuries. It seems that just being strong is not enough. Your physique must also keep up. Thinking of this, Lu Li simply used the talent he just plundered. Possession by Yin Spirit. In order to completely crush Ao Zan, Lu Li specially selected soul soldiers with excellent physique and strength. The stone-skinned man who was killed in the hub arena is the best choice. After activating his talent, Lu Li's muscles bulged all over his body and he instantly grew taller. The majestic power fills the whole body. He punched out again and knocked Ao Zan back half a step. Ao Zan was not angry but happy, with fighting spirit blazing in his eyes. Okay, come again. The strong man took a step forward, and the shadow of the spirit behind him suddenly solidified. Lu Li was horrified when he saw this, knowing that Ao Zan was about to use his killing move. Quickly increase the superimposed attributes of Shadow Spirit Possession to the highest level and attack first. 5 times attribute superposition. The fist hit Ao Zan hard on the face. The strong man felt as if he had hit a locomotive and was smashed into the cement floor by this punch. Looking at Ao Zan, his head was stuck on the ground, as if he had an onion stuck upside down. The atmosphere was deathly silent and you could hear a pin drop. The onlookers were all prepared to rescue Lu Li. Now it seems that the one who needs to be rescued is his own leader. General Ao. General, are you okay? Treat, heal the general quickly. The team members swarmed forward and tried to pull Ao Zhan out of the ground. Before he could get closer, a stronger aura suddenly burst out from Ao Zhan, and everyone who was attacked retreated. It's over, General Ao is angry. Everyone felt cold. But seeing Ao Zhan put his palms on the ground, he suddenly pulled out his head. The phantom of the giant spirit god has almost condensed into substance, and its eyes are wide open, as if it wants to choose people to devour. You kid. You really didn't strike lightly. Ao Zhan roared. The next moment, his body suddenly accelerated, and like a cannonball, it hit Lu Li straight. He wants to teach this ignorant boy a lesson. Even if the King of Heaven comes today, we have to wait until Ao Zhan cripples Lu Li. However, just when Ao Zhan's fist was about to hit the target, Lu Li suddenly showed a mean smile. The whole person immediately turned into black mist and transformed into another figure with a sad face. No, why is it me again? Xing Anlin looked at the roaring fist and shouted in despair. Without any surprise, he was blown away by Ao Zhan with one punch. Did it hit, or did it miss? Ao Zhan didn't react for a while and hesitated for a long time before looking around for Lu Li's figure. It took a long time before I found the shabby figure at the gate of the shelter. Lu Li waved his right hand and shouted loudly. Hey, you big fool with big limbs and simple mind. I'm here. If you have the ability, come after me. As long as you can catch me, I will let you have fun. After saying that, Lu Li rushed into the shelter without looking back. Ao Zhan is straightforward by nature and has a straightforward mind and does not turn around. Usually he hates being called stupid. He especially hates people saying that he has strong limbs and a simple mind. It is said that dragons have reverse scales. Lu Li's simple provocation couldn't be said to have touched Ao Zhan's back. Instead, he directly stretched out his hand to pluck Nilin away. I won't beat the shit out of you today, even if I clamp you tight. Ao Zhan was completely over the top. At this moment, he didn't care whether he had any tasks to complete. All he could think of was beating Lu Li violently. He immediately rushed towards the shelter. Seeing Ao Zhan rushing towards his shelter like a ferocious god, Zhao Wu, who was hiding in the dark and observing, was so frightened that he almost peed. He quickly opened the data panel and wanted to notify Ishi Sanu to retreat. Before I entered a character, someone suddenly tapped me on the back. Looking back, Zhao Wu was so frightened that he peed. The person who tapped him on the shoulder was none other than Lu Li, who was covered in black mist. Hi, nice to meet you. Lu Li's tone was polite, completely different from when he provoked Ao Zhan before. At first glance, it seems that I have known Zhao Wu for many years. Like a close friend, etc. My best friend, your sister. A bad premonition arose in Zhao Wu's heart. What are you going to do? Lu Li smiled and waved his hand, speaking in a relaxed tone. Don't be nervous, I won't do anything to you. I came here just to ask you a favor. Ao Zhan's furious roar could be heard in his ears. Zhao Wu's bad premonition grew stronger. He looked at Lu Li warily and asked. I don't know you, why should I help you? Lu Li pretended to be sad and said loudly. Oh my, how can a mouth that is 37 degrees Celsius say such cold words? Have you forgotten that we once escaped from wilderness together, herded sheep, and played hooligans together for love? I've been on duty, I've been laid off, I've fought against leaders and won awards. Seeing that Lu Li didn't stop planning as soon as he said the jingle, Zhao Wu stopped him. Stop, 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 when did I herd sheep with you? You are totally talking nonsense. Before he could finish his words, Ao Zhan had already caught up with him. Lu Li solemnly patted Zhao Wu on the shoulder. He said as if he had told his fate to a brother. Brother Zhao Wu, I'll leave this big fool to you. Repair him severely for me. What? Zhao Wu and Ao Zhan said in unison. The former is totally unbelievable. And the latter is full of rage. Lu Li didn't give the two of them a chance to react at all. He activated his invisibility talent and immediately disappeared on the spot. Only Zhao Wu and Ao Zhan were left, staring at each other. Oh, you're the one who stood up for Lu Li, right? Ao Zhan laughed angrily, clenching his fists as big as sandbags. Zhao Wu waved his hands repeatedly, shaking his head like a rattle. No, no, I won't stand up for Lu Li. I don't even know him. Still pretending, Ao Zhanyu glared and said angrily. Do you really think I'm a fool? Why do you work to herd sheep and play hooligans together for love? Your experiences sound very colorful. He made it all up. I really don't know him. Zhao Wu almost cried. He is now a weakling with no natural ability. Not to mention a fierce god like Ao Zhan. Even a dog is tough enough for him to deal with. You really don't know me. Ao Zhan clenched his teeth, and the grinding sound made people feel scared. My conscience, I really don't know you. I'm just an innocent passerby. Zhao Wu only hated his parents for not giving him 2 more mouths and spoke quickly. Then your name is Zhao Wu. Ao Zhan's tone suddenly became calmer, and his eyes were less impulsive and more thoughtful. Ah, yes, then you still say you don't know Lu Li. Just give me a punch. Ah, comma. Listening to Zhao Wu's screams, Lu Li silently gave Ao Zhan a thumbs up in his heart. This silly big thing is quite useful. With him here, even if Zhao Wu cannot be killed, he can temporarily protect the safety of the survivors in the shelter. Thinking of this, Lu Li's expression became solemn again. He also learned the secret of the shelter in the center of Yangcheng after reading Tojo Hahara's memory. The entire shelter is a supply warehouse for Sakura people's experiments. They use human life and pain to charge the Motuo clay statue, thereby hunting for high-quality talents and creating gods. In the previous life, Zhao Wu was able to possess the heart of frost and become the Frost Lord, probably because of this evil prop. Although Lu Li is not so philanthropic that he wants to save the world. But it's impossible to just watch the Sakura people's plan come to fruition. After all, the entire Zhao family is on Lu Li's revenge list. And the Sakura people colluded with the Zhao family and already had a way to die. Qinfang, take people to this location to ambush, and follow my orders. Lu Li sent the laboratory coordinates to Lin Qinfang. Worried that the other party might act impulsively, Lu Li sent the location to Alyssa. You go to this position and you don't have to show up unless necessary. But if Lin Qinfang wants to enter the laboratory, she must be stopped. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.